What's going on YouTube? I got it working. We're going to talk about two stories today. The first one is Jeff Bezos' space firm is getting $10 billion bailout, according to multiple sources, and low testosterone in men linked to more severe COVID-19. So I don't know what's going on. My YouTube is glitching. My Facebook is glitching. So I got them both to work, but it took a little while. And today, while people are coming in, I got my space helmet. Anytime I talk about anything to do with space, I got to whip this out. How does it work again? Whoa, you got to watch this is high technology. This is the type of stuff that could put you right back on the moon. NASA can't figure out how to do it, or they don't want to do it, or maybe they'll do it soon. But I love whipping this out because I just want to let people know space is a big deal. So we got to just keep funneling tens of billions of dollars to NASA every year. And apparently Jeff Bezos is again the richest man in the world. He went back up to number one, but I guess our taxpayer money has to give him billions of dollars. As people are coming in, I'm just going to read my tweet from earlier. It sounds kind of douchey. I'm going to read my tweet, but I just wrote it and I don't want to mess up the words. I said, I'm trying to figure out how shutting down millions of businesses, leaving a few big chains open, and then printing trillions of dollars while giving billions to certain people like Jeff Bezos isn't just direct theft. I feel like it is theft, and I feel like they're robbing the country blind. So, they got George Floyd, they got the left, the right, the Donald Trumps, the Joe Bidens, the Operation Warp Speeds, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Marjorie Taylor Greens. I don't understand how everybody doesn't realize that our country's just being robbed when, your mom and pop shop or your restaurant has to shut down or follow all these crazy guidelines, and Amazon can just keep running at full capacity and just dominate the market. And then Jeff Bezos can get $10 billion to his space company. At what point do people realize that the whole left, the right thing, they're just robbing our country blind? Like at a certain point, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but yeah, I would think inflation and supply and demand is going to hit at a certain point. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're really going to give Jeff Bezos' company $10 billion. Even Bernie Sanders said something about it. So that's what it is. And the second story, as people come in, low testosterone in men linked to more severe COVID-19, says Live Scientist. Wow, what a shocker. So if you have low testosterone, you're more at risk for COVID-19. If you're obese, you're more at risk for COVID-19. If you're elderly, you're more at risk for COVID-19. It's almost like there's a pattern in there somewhere. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to Operation Warp Speed, get my mind thinking quickly enough to figure out what's the thing. It's almost like if you're healthy, you're better to deal with certain diseases than if you're not healthy. I mean, crazy, shocking, far-right conspiracy theory, as they would call it in the media. But really, I guess that's what it is now. If you just believe that being healthy, being fit, eating better is the smartest way to keep healthy. And if you're jammed up on McDonald's and Krispy Kreme, running in circles around pharmacy injections, and you have low testosterone, it might not protect you from everything. But I don't know. What do I know? Listen to your experts. The experts that they tell you to listen to, and then a year later they tell you not to listen to, or to listen to what they used to say, but don't post what they used to say, post what they say now. I don't know what's going on. The World Health Organization, Fauci, you guys get it. I'm not a health advisor, so just, do your thing. But that's what it is today. I'm going to keep it pretty brief, and then I'm going to work on a video for the morning. First story, I just have a few things here. You guys can see it on Facebook. I did like a 3-in-1. I'm trying to save ink here, but The Intercept said Senate preparing $10 billion bailout fund for Jeff Bezos' space firm. The Hill is saying Senate competitiveness bill includes a $10 billion authorization for Bezos' space company. Business Insider says Bernie Sanders wants to block Bezos' Blue Origin from $10 billion NASA funds. I don't really have a fancy presentation for today. I just feel like our country's just being robbed. It's like end stage corruption where they're just shutting down businesses, acting psychotic, telling you have to close. You can't go here. If you're not vaccinated, you can't sit here. Your restaurant can't run at full capacity, but Jeff Bezos can. And, God forbid he's struggling for funds, even though he's the richest guy in the world. Somehow the Senate is going to put together a $10 billion taxpayer fund for Blue Origin. I mean, there's not even really much to say about this. It's just like, it's so obvious. Hopefully it's bipartisan, but they're just like running our country into the ground. I mean, it's unfathomable to think that they're going to give the richest person in the world $10 billion to do some sort of space operation, despite the fact that NASA, went to the moon in 1969. They keep claiming we used to have the technology, but we destroyed it, and it's a painful process to build back again. I mean, we have supercomputers and Google quantum computers, but NASA can't quite figure out how to do it. Elon Musk is trolling with Dogecoin, and I guess Jeff Bezos is just going to get $10 billion in taxpayer money. And people will keep fighting about Marjorie Taylor Greene and all this sort of stuff. Isn't it fascinating? Isn't it fascinating that Kevin McCarthy, the GOP, what is he, the Senate Majority Leader? Isn't it fascinating he gets so upset at Marjorie Taylor Greene for comparing what's going on right now to a historical event? Bad girl, Marjorie Taylor Greene. How dare you say what's going on with the lockdowns and the forced vaccinations? How dare you compare it to World War II? I mean, it's just shocking to me that Kevin McCarthy is more upset by words out of Marjorie Taylor Greene's mouth than he is about the fact that they're just printing money, trillions of dollars, bipartisan. Jeff Bezos gets $10 billion. The airlines get a few billion. You get 600. This gets $1 billion. These people get $1 trillion. I mean, they're just throwing money all over the place. And Kevin McCarthy doesn't seem to really care that much. Tim Scott certainly doesn't really care. He brags about it. And the Republican Party puts on this act like they're conserving something. We're fighting critical race theory. And everyone's like, man, they're really going to stick it to AOC. Guys, it's a show. Stop clapping for these people. They're all just like pathological liars or really bad actors, because the pressing issues that are facing our country, such as the lockdown, the bipartisan billions of dollars that they printed to big pharma. And when you wonder why you're getting, I guess, threatened and coerced and forced and held for ransom over this stuff, it's not just the Democrats. When they pass all of these acts, I can't go through them all right now because I don't have the info in front of me, but you look at the CARES Act, you look at all the stuff that Biden's printing, read the bill and you'll see how much is going for vaccine education. They're giving themselves billions of dollars in government agencies and these corporate, bureaucrat, outlets to just pump it down your throat. So it's like, on one hand, the Republicans are like, hey, we're fighting the Democrats for spend. The Republicans are not fighting for spending. They printed more money under Trump than anybody's ever printed before. And they're more mad at Marjorie Taylor Greene over, God forbid she says something about this. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but Marjorie Taylor Greene's words are worse than shutdowns and trillions. It's like, stop clapping for these people. Someone said it's called wealth transfer. I can't think of an easier example before I move on than Jeff Bezos' space company. You're talking about space agencies like NASA that just have the most hilarious reasons for not going back to the moon. We can't do it anymore. We lost the technology. We're just 30 billion, 20 billion, however much billions. Just keep giving us money and giving us money. We'll lock your business down, but let's give Jeff Bezos $10 billion. He doesn't have enough money to use on his own. Let's give him government taxpayer money so he can do Blue Origin in space. I'm sure that's not going to backfire and give that guy more power. What a joke our country is. So I hope people are waking up to, what's really happening in this country, because I get it. The Republicans are better than the Democrats. That's what I believe. I do think at a certain extent there is a benefit to voting. But if you think these people are going the distance and you're going to go to a Trump rally and think that he's going to save, it's like, please just save yourself some energy, because it's so obvious that these people are just putting on a show. And then they all go behind closed doors and just funnel money to these people. And with the Space Force, Trump's funneling money to NASA, Blue Origin, Elon Musk, whoever, just take my tax money. I don't deserve it. Here. My goodness. Live science real quick. Low testosterone in men is linked to severe COVID-19. So, really, I don't know if I could use the word scam without Facebook getting mad, but speaking of scam, this is in the Hill. I know, I'm sorry, Facebook, it's backwards. I'll just read it for you. Facebook reverses policy to allow posts speculating that COVID-19 was made in a lab. So they officially went back and said, actually, now you can question whether or not it came in a lab. Of course, before they even reversed the policy, I put out a video and I strong-armed my page. I didn't know if they were going to get mad or not, but I put out a video. I explained how they covered up that story for a year. Facebook covered it up. The media covered it up. They lied. They called it a conspiracy theory. They did everything they could to cover it up. Now they're finally coming out today and saying, we should reverse our policy. I wonder if they'll reverse my bank account. No offense. I'm not going to complain, but I was crushing last year. And that was one of the reasons that Facebook demonetized me. Also, the election, I feel like, oh, before the election, let's just take out Anomaly's page and make it weaker. And then after the election, we'll give some things back. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that was random timing, but I wonder if they'll reverse like my full page, because I can't even reach half the people that I could have before. And I'm not complaining, but during the lockdowns and stuff, I had like 10,000 people, 6,000. My average was 5,000 people live. I have 1.4 million people on my page. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I know it's not reaching enough people. When I was doing bad, I was getting 3,000 people in my live streams. Now it's hard for me to clear 2,000 or 1,000 on Facebook. So it's not going out to my 1.5 million. And we know why. There's the new Project Veritas. They're talking about vaccine hesitancy. It doesn't matter if you tell the truth about the vaccine. It doesn't matter if you use FDA statistics and, everything about it. Even the truth about it, if it makes somebody hesitant, if they learn about liability, if they learn about that it's actually not approved, if they, that's going to lower your score. I mean, it's such a joke, but thank you, Facebook, for finally reversing the policy. Interesting. But yeah, live science, low testosterone in men linked to severe COVID-19. It's not rocket scientists. It's common sense. If you're healthy and fit and you're 30 or 20, you're probably not at risk. If you're obese at any age, you're going to be more at risk. If you have low testosterone, you're going to be more at risk, and you're also at risk for other things. If you're elderly and 80 or 90, you're always going to be at risk for these type of things. That's just what comes with age. The same reason when I'm 90, I'm not going to be able to play tennis and basketball the same way I can when I'm 30. This is all like basic science, basic human nature. And they've been covering it up and scamming the population for a year now, trying to convince you that, none of this matters. I mean, close your kid's school down, put a mask on his face, inject yourself with a Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson as quickly as you possibly can. Ignore everything else. That's the only way to be healthy. Krispy Kreme, fries, they're bribing you with $1 million lotteries and Shake Shack fries. Like, I mean, at this point, you have to be, and I try to be nice, you have to be really dumb, really, really dumb to not like think something's going on. It's like, how long did it take the Democrats and Republicans, but by the way, it was Democrats running the show, in Flint, Michigan? How long did it take them to get them clean water? How long has it taken them to stop the Afghanistan war? I mean, it's been 10 years. They're funding both sides of almost every war. The Republicans are oh my God, Joe Biden, he's funding the Palestinians and he's funding the Israelis. Oh, what do you know? We're funding two sides of a war again. That seems like something that we do all the time with our taxpayer money. We fund these people and we fund these people, and then we fight. We fund this. Oh no, our weapons and our vehicles ended up in the hands of ISIS. How did they get there? Probably because, the rebel groups are non-existent. Who's the rebel groups? They're all, Wahhabist terrorists who the United States was either directly or indirectly funding to try to regime change Bashar al-Assad. Oh my God, what's going on in Yemen? I don't know. We're funneling weapons to Saudi Arabia and they're just killing people in Yemen. It's like, yeah, they can't stop that. Sorry, I got on a tangent. They can't stop that stuff, but they want to help your health. I mean, they just can't stop bombing people in the Middle East. But if you eat this donut, if you eat these fries, if you get your Shake Shack and you enter your vaccine lottery, that's the way to help the public health. Not by working out, not by dieting, not by staying away from their, sugary, high fructose sugar cereal that now has LGBT flags on it. They're promoting gay sex to your children, which is psychotic because they shouldn't be promoting any sex. It's kind of pedophilia. But, they're like flirting on the lines of like child abuse. Oh, it's gay. It's like, you don't talk about straight sex to a 5-year-old, and you certainly shouldn't talk about gay sex to a 5-year-old. It has nothing to do with being anti-trans. Like, you guys are just promoting the gay flag with Tony. Like, I don't want to say the wrong name, but I saw a cereal box recently and they're like, everyone's like, oh, it's gay. I got to get this. Guys, it's just sugar. They're just feeding you. They don't care about your health. It's so obvious, but I'm not going to waste your time today. I'm going to work on a video in a little bit. I'll probably stay for 20, 30 minutes, but those are the two stories of the day. Jeff Bezos, $10 billion for a space company from your tax dollars, as you're getting basically threatened with the decision of either you get the vaccine and live semi-free, or you don't get it and you live like a second-tier society if you live in a liberal area or if you're trying to go to certain baseball games. That's really our country is just such a joke right now. But on that note, I had a good day. I've had a good week, so I'm not trying to be all negative. I'm just saying, like, politically, nationally, like, what a joke. Facebook reverses their policy and low testosterone in men linked to more severe COVID-19, says Live Science. But it doesn't take live science or a scientist or an expert to know that, the big driver in this pandemic that they've already admitted was obesity. And obviously things like low T and a nation that is not physically and mentally as healthy as we could be, that's going to weigh on us. That's science, fear, stress, how it damages the body and the immune system. I mean, this is like real basic science that they don't tell you because there's no financial incentive. There's no pill or vaccine they could sell you if you work out really hard and, realize that you're better off being like a jacked 30-year-old than a, obese 30-year-old who's just like chomping at the bits to get their second dose and bragging about it, like tattooing a vaccine card to their arm. It's like, I don't know how much more could we even talk about this, but I want to see what's on your mind. Let's see what's going on. God bless you guys. And, I don't want to be too repetitive. So those stories stuck out to me for the day. But that's what it is. And I want to see what's on your mind because I do have a video idea that I kind of want to edit for the morning. Someone said low testosterone is linked to a lot of things. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm sure it is. Someone said COVID wave in Taiwan. Yeah, I mean, here's one thing that you guys got to look at, though. I mean, and I know most people here know, so I'm not trying to here. I'm just going to worldometers.com, worldometers.info. It's a pretty good data place where you can find all the COVID data on all the countries. I'm just going to go real quick to deaths per million population, deaths per capita. I think it's pretty important. India is 109 in the world. Out of the entire world, India is not even in the top 100 deadliest places in deaths per capita, deaths scaled per population size. If you count cases in India the same way you count cases in Israel, you're going to be lying to yourself because India has way more people than Israel. So, it's all about, oh my God, there's so many cases. How many people are in India? 1 billion people? How many people are in America? 300 million people? So they don't tell you that. There was no huge surge and wave in India. They had a lot of cases, but it's really about the death rate. If the deaths per capita over the span of a year and a half is not astronomical, which it wasn't for any of these countries, there is no big way. They're just lying. So yeah, they want to, there's a big debate going on with Taiwan. Is Taiwan a country? Is it owned by China? I don't know. John Cena's getting involved. Oh, what do you know? There's a big surge and a big wave in Taiwan. How are they counting? How are they using the PCR test? What's the deaths per capita? I could look it up. Let me see. Taiwan. I don't even know if it's on here, if they consider it a country on this website. But, let me see. I could search for it real quick. Is there really a Taiwan search or are they just making stuff up? Let's see. Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan is number 200 as of now on this website. 200th in the world. Guys, in deaths per capita. There's a big wave. Why? Because they want to conquer Thailand. US is number 18, UK is number 17, Poland's number 16, Italy's number 13, Brazil's number 11, Belgium's number 10, and India's number 109. And there's a big surge there. They never talk about deaths per capita because isn't that important? If there's 50 million cases of the common cold, oh my God, 50 million cases. Okay, well, how many people died? 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000? That matters. How many people are there? 1 million, 10 million, 100 million? And that's called deaths per capita, deaths scaled for population size. India is not doing bad. They never were doing that bad. The media just lies and lies and lies. It's exhausting. I mean, it's interesting because I looked at some of my old videos and, if you look at what I was saying last March, before they even shut the country down, like March 14th, I said everything I said then is still true. I was like, they're not counting properly. I could already tell. I'm not that great at math, but I'm not a moron. I have basic common sense and critical thinking skills. The entire time they've been lying about the death rate. They've been lying about the case rate. They've been lying about the correlation. Everything's been a lie. It's exhausting, but it's all good. Let's talk about something more positive. It's a Topo Chico, by the way, folks. It's not alcohol. I know because my voice is a little raspy. People are going to say, oh my God, he's drinking alcohol. It's just a lemon water. Don't worry. Thank you, Janine. I appreciate it. Let's see what y'all are talking about. Yeah, I don't know what happened with John. Why do I think they're keeping people masked? I mean, there's multiple things at play, I think. One is it's become a political issue. So you hear a lot of these people saying, I don't want to take off my mask. I don't want to seem like a Republican. They don't operate off of common sense or reason or logic or love or truth. They operate off of, I hate the Republicans. I hate Trump. I will do whatever he doesn't do just to do the opposite of him. So they don't even know what to believe anymore. So there's an element of that. They just don't want to take their mask off because it's like a culture. It's a culture. So some people don't want to seem Republican. Some people think it's a conspiracy theory to breathe air. So they're just keeping it on. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I would never put my nose in my mouth back out. I don't watch Alex Jones. It's like, you did this your whole life. It's not a conspiracy theory. Just take the mask off. So, some people are ugly and they just want to hide their face. Just kidding, but seriously. Some people have anxiety and they feel more comfortable in a mask. Other people, I think there's a power aspect to it. You know, you give somebody authoritarian power. I'm not even just talking about Gavin Newsom or Trump. I'm talking about like the Starbucks employee. Get your mask back on. You know, there's a sense of if you hate yourself and you hate your life and you don't feel like being nice to people, there's a sense of power there. You're like, oh, I'm the enforcer. I'm saving the world right now. Climate change. I'm saving the planet. I got my Space Force mask on. I'm saving the world. I hate the corporations. So that's why I stand with the bankers and Jeff Bezos, because the only way to fight the corporations is to give money to Blue Origin. I don't know. There's like an element of that. They think they're like fighting the right by like yelling at people with the mask. So there's so much psychological abuse that it's like, you know, and then I think at the top, if you look at where masks are prevalent besides a doctor's office, like temporarily, you know, I don't know if there's kids watching or something, but I'm just saying it's a sign of submission also. When your dog is being too loud, bark, 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 bark. That's my dog impression. Sorry, I'm not a winner. Like, we all have our flaws. Bark, 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 bark. And you want your dog to shut up, you put a muzzle on its face and you close its mouth. If you want a person to shut up, just put a mask on. Hey, what do you want to order? I can't hear you, dude. It's like, welcome to the restaurant. How may I help you? I'm like, you can't help me because I can't hear you. And it's like I can't hear. So there's many reasons for the mask, I think, but one of them for animals, you put it on when you want the animal to shut up and be submissive, and you put it on, you know, your significant other or something. If you're like, you're submissive, you put this on and shut your mouth. So, I mean, it's one of like 8 things like that, but I mean, to each their, your guess is as good as mine. Thank you, Maria. She said, love your content anomaly. I truly believe God is good and will prevail. God bless you. Thank you. I'm having a good week. You know, I did my video yesterday. Hopefully you guys saw it, how Facebook lied and covered up the whole lab leak, angle. That did pretty well on Instagram, on Facebook. So life is good. I'm a little beat today. Sorry if I seem a little off. I'm a little tired. It's all good, but I had a good day. I had yesterday, today. I just, been doing some stuff. But I should have a video out in the morning. Also, I'm editing a music video. If you guys care, I have a song called "Way Too Jack for the Gulag," and I'm editing the music video for that. So I do sleep, but it's like I'm always doing everything. So I'm editing my own music video. I'm getting clips. So while I'm waiting for a new comment, I'll maybe play a clip of that song, because my video for this will be out in a little bit. It's called "Way Too Jack for the Gulag." It's supposed to be an inspirational song. If you feel like they're trying to put you in the gulags and they're just going crazy, I'm like, I got to work out more and I got to get too jacked for the gulag. So that's, I'm working on the music video, that's what it is. I'm about to get way too for the gulag. I just face Christ, stay away, you humans, but if you want beef. So I don't want to bore y'all with the gulag, but that's the song Way Too Jack for the Gulag is streaming everywhere. I'm about to have the music video. I'm working hard on it. I paid a lot of money to some website so I could get some like extra footage because I don't have that much good footage. I got some good footage, but I'm doing the whole video myself, and I needed to get some B-roll footage. So I got a lot of work cut out for me. Someone said no more submission to tyrants. I felt that way for a long time. I'm trying to be Zen. You know, someone asked me yesterday, they said, what do you want? What do you want? You know, and I do believe in the, you know, the Taoist principle. I'm sure it spans all religions and spiritualities, but I know the Taoists are famous for saying, people like Bruce Lee, you know, like be like water. They always say, just wanting. If you're always wanting, you're never in the present moment. You're like me, and you're all over the place. So I'm like, I don't really want anything. I'm grateful. I'm here. I'm happy. You know, there's things I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be on the street. So, you know, I have certain desires to some extent, but really, I don't know. I don't have that much desire. So I'm in the moment. I'm here. Keep it moving in the present moment. Keep making moves. That's what it's about. But I think that's a good life lesson that helped me is just, you know, being grateful and appreciative and not getting too far ahead of yourself. Like, I want to be there. It's like, you can't be there unless you're there. And once you're here, then you could take step by step and get there. Someone said desire causes suffering. For sure. I do desire a coffee right now though, but that's a side note. Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. Anthony said, I'm struggling hard to get a music video going. I'd love some quick advice if you want to pass it along. Anything? Well, I mean, if you're a musician, I would say the easiest way, if you have money, or I mean, even if you don't have money, I'm sure you have some money, hire somebody to film and edit it for you. That's good at it. That's an easy way. But if you want to do it yourself, I taught myself how to edit, whether it's iMovie or Final Cut. YouTube is your best friend. Tutorials. All I do is watch tutorials. I want to learn about cryptocurrency. Tutorials. I'm learning from like 13-year-old kids in freaking UK. They're like, hey, mate, you want to learn about VeChain? I'm like, yeah. It's like it's like these kids are teaching me how to use my microphone. There's like random genius kids on YouTube just doing tutorials. It's pretty funny. I'm like, dang, this 13-year-old just taught me how to use the microphone that I should probably know how to use. So tutorials are your best friend. If you want to learn how to edit any special effects or something, every video you've seen me make, I've edited myself. I'm not great at it, but I've learned little tricks, all the movements and stuff and the fade in and out. Like, you know, that's all that's your best friend. YouTube tutorials. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Someone said, is Anomaly's camera shaking like a mofo? I might be shaking. My camera might be shaking. I might be hitting my desk a lot. I don't know. I got to calm down. Yeah, I love a good YouTube tutorial. I like listening. I don't really like listening to politics in my spare time. I did listen to Robert Barnes and Nick Fuentes. They had a debate on InfoWars. I mean, it's pretty interesting that Alex Jones was the first one to host this debate, but they had a debate about Israel from a right-wing perspective. One person, huge supporter of Israel, best ally. The other one, you know, a little more critical, saying they're not our best ally. I watched that debate. So I try to tap into politics when I can, but I like to watch financial people, you know, learn about some cryptos. You know, I like to hear people tell me that I'm going to make money, even if it's not true, stuff like that. I would recommend, though, if you could find that debate, the Nick Fuentes and Robert Barnes debate, I think it was pretty solid, pretty good takes that you don't hear that much. At least one of the sides you don't hear that much. Someone said, I work in the auto industry and there's no plants open to really produce enough vehicles. Listen, folks, that isn't the case. We are going to war. Shortages are everywhere because we are hoarding. All right, Jeff, hopefully not, but I would not doubt that. Thank you for your intake. My hair looks amazing today. Thank you. I took a shower. I went in the ocean, and then I took a shower after. Who's my pick for the NBA playoffs? I've always been a Knicks fan, so I want to see the New York Knicks win. As far as like who I would bet on, you know, probably the Brooklyn Nets, but as far as I like the Knicks, and I'm going for Brooklyn from like a odds perspective. Jay Holt said, I always ask, he never responds. What hair products am I using? I don't use that many hair products. So, I mean, I was actually somewhere else. So I just use a shampoo and conditioner, like nothing crazy. If I have a choice, I always try to go organic. The soap I use, I don't like to use like chemically mainstream soap. I like to get some charcoal soap, anything that's like fruity and got like real ingredients in it. I like a good soap. Same with my hair, but just to be honest, it's not the products. I think I just have good hair, good genetic hair. I'm part Polish, I'm part Italian. I'm also part Puerto Rican and Czech, but I'm guessing the hair it could be a combo of Polish, Italian. I don't know, probably from my family. So not to be mean, but I'm sure like, some people are balding and, it's like the hair product's not going to really change it. So I don't use crazy products in my hair. I just think I have really thick hair, like naturally, but I don't know. I'm sure also it's probably because I never grew it out my whole life too. So when I grew it out the first time, I didn't damage my hair. I haven't been using all these products. I never had long hair. So it's like, it's brand new. How much longer till the rapture? I don't know. I'm not good. Yeah, Joanna, shout out Poland. Pierogies, kielbasa, not the healthiest food, but definitely tasty. Do I think Steph Curry should get the MVP? No, I think Nikola Jokic should get it because I think, Nikola, if you look at how many games played, Nikola Jokic, sorry if you don't like the NBA, Nikola Jokic from the Nuggets, he played almost the whole season. Curry was out for a month or 2 months. So it's, in my opinion, although he had a great season, it's hard to win the MVP when you're out for like a quarter of the season. And also, the Warriors didn't do that good this year. I mean, Steph Curry is amazing, but you got to go Jokic just out of games played. He played more games than any of the All-Stars, and he solid the whole time. Assists, rebounds, points. Give it to it's a Jokic boy summer from the Nuggets, the center. Someone said, what about Damian Lillard? He's good. I mean, there's a lot of good players in the NBA, but in my opinion, Nikola Jokic, no question, hands down, MVP this year. Most games played, crazy stats, got his team in the top 4 without Jamal Murray for a couple months. What do I think about Ron Paul speaking on the spending bill? Some wild things on it. I love Ron Paul. I like Rand Paul too. Rand Paul put out I think it was Rand Paul who put out the spending bill. There's crazy stuff in it. We fund like lizard studies in like Pakistan, like the craziest, like we're being robbed, no question. We're being robbed, we're being exploited, and no one realizes because they have left, right, black, white, Trump, Biden, MGT, AOC. You see what it's almost like they're chosen. You know what I'm saying? Like their names are branded in a way that like people get hooked on them where, yeah, I mean, it's a bipartisan operation. I think that's why I get along with libertarians like Ron Paul. They get it. Everyone's like, libertarians are so dumb. I'm like, some are, but libertarian ideology is like, we're both being scammed. The taxes are too much. I agree. I'm a libertarian. I think fiscally, I'm kind of a libertarian. I think taxes are a scam. I think the Republican Party is a scam. I think Biden is scamming the country. I think Pelosi scammed the country. I think McCarthy's scamming the country. I think Trump scammed the country. I think they're all scamming, personally. So I agree with Ron Paul on the spending. It's insane. If you read the bill, like it's literally insane. They're like, we're banning menthol cigarettes and funding like sexual like lizard studies in like Bolivia. And you're like, why would you do that with my tax money? It's unbelievable. Someone said Tim Tebow 2024. Is he running, or I think he's joining the NFL again? MGT or Andrew Cuomo in a fight? You're talking like a fist fight? Probably Andrew Cuomo, because guys are just naturally stronger, and he looks like he's not the weakest guy I've ever seen. So if it was a fist fight, I mean, I I don't justify the fighting of Andrew Cuomo and Marjorie Taylor Greene, just to put that out there, because now they're going to scan and be like an omelet. I don't want them to fight, but if you're asking me who would win a boxing match, probably Cuomo, because he's a man. But Marjorie Taylor Greene seems pretty fit for a congresswoman. She seems pretty strong, but yeah. Someone said if Anomaly got with Zachary K. Hubbard, he'd stop taking politics seriously. I'll chat with him sometime, but you guys always act like so holier than thou. You're like, you'll never get it until you understand the gematria effect. It's like, I got it, dude. Just show me a link of his or something. You don't have to act so pompous about it, but it's fine. I've literally been saying this for months, and you're like, Anomaly would stop taking politics so seriously if he watched the gematria effect. It's like, oh yeah, I'm taking it so seriously right now. I'm just crying. It's so real to me. I love the Republicans. Oh my gosh, they're fighting. Yeah, that's what I'm totally doing. I've been just doing that for so long, except for the fact I have never done that. So whatever. Oh my gosh. It's so funny sometimes, like in the Instagram, like someone will be like, Anomaly's afraid to talk about Palestine. I'm like, the proper thing to say would be like, hey, Anomaly, what do you think about Palestine? Not like, you're afraid to talk about Palestine. You're like, yeah, except for I talked about it for like an hour the other day. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about Israel and Palestine every day of my life. I've talked about it for an hour, 2 hours. I don't mind talking about it, but I'm shaking in my boots to talk about Palestine. Sorry, dude. I do all sorts of videos. I don't just sit on a camera for 20 hours a week and talk about Palestine the entire time. I would think that would get kind of boring, but some people are like, Anomaly will never, he's hating on Trump to protect himself on Facebook. I'm like, no, I just don't agree with the fact that he sends me an email every other day bragging about rushing the FDA. I'm sorry, I have principles that expand I don't just follow Trump. If Trump says like jump off a cliff, I'm not going to jump off a cliff. Like I have my own mind and I appreciate when we get along. And honestly, I forgive him. I forgive him for all the emails. I just unsubscribe. I'm not mad. I'm just like, I'm good. I can't be reading this all the time. Am I sponsored by Optimum Nutrition or did you just get a shirt? No, actually, my buddy gave me this shirt. So I think it's like a Gold's Gym shirt. One of my buddies, John, I think we were out like playing sports and I needed an extra shirt at his house and he gave me the shirt and just said I could keep it. So I'm not sponsored. I just have a friend and I really like this shirt too because when you wear it, it doesn't wrinkle. Sometimes all the clothes get wrinkly after. Like this one just stays straight. I love a good straight shirt that doesn't wrinkle. That's why I wear that goofy shirt with the flowers on it all the time. Everybody always makes fun of me. The real reason I like that shirt, it's very silky and it just doesn't wrinkle. So it's like a power move shirt. It looks a little goofy, but listen, sometimes you gotta look like a table mat in order to, make moves. Yeah, I don't know much about this company at all. I'm glad you like their products though. What are my thoughts on white people being a minority in America? I don't know if it's happening currently or it's going to happen, but I do think that white people and conservatives are not fully understanding, or maybe they're afraid. It's scary to push back against the racial agenda. They'll call you a racist, a white supremacist, a nationalist, whatever. They got a name for everything. So I think I don't think that white people are going to be treated good when they're a minority in America. And I think people should start thinking about it because, there's a lot of minority groups now that get a lot of favors, speech laws, handouts, things like everybody's like, oh, we got to help these people. I don't think that's how they're going to treat white people when white people are a minority. You could see the media. They're very hateful. You could see a lot of these groups. They're not looking for peace or love. They're looking to just hate. So, yeah, I think it's definitely, Europe and America are not paying attention to math and science. Like, if you talk to people from Europe, at the end of the day, the racial population is going to be based on the birth rate. So if you're in England and the people from England aren't having that many kids and they're getting a bunch of people that are either migrants, legal, illegal, refugees, and they're having 6, 7 kids, it's not racist to say that white people are going to be a minority. I think it's just like a math equation, like eventually that's going to happen. And then you got to ask yourself, when that happens, do you think you're going to be treated properly by the government? And in America, a lot of people on the right just say, I don't see race. It doesn't matter to me, because on one hand, I get that. I'm a musician. I make music for everyone. I'm a human being. I love everybody, except if you're a douchebag, excuse my language. But, I like good people in every race. But as a political analyst and somebody who analyzes the news, I'm not just going to act like, even though I like people for who they are and I like people based on who they really are, that's all real. But as a political analyst, like, race is a part of the equation. And the Democrats and the liberals and the Marxists, they know this at the high levels. They're not bringing in a bunch of illegal immigrants because they love Mexicans. Like, I have family that are Mexicans. I'm not Mexican, but I have a stepfather that's Mexican anyway. And I have siblings, a brother and a sister that are step siblings, but you get what I'm saying. I know Mexicans. I lived around on a farm where all my neighbors are Mexican. The government doesn't care about my family or my neighbors. They care about winning elections. So Texas, it's a math equation. Yeah, I love everyone, but if they can get enough people, they see the demographics. White people are voting this percentage Republican. White women are voting this percentage Republican. Black men, black women are voting this way. Hispanics are voting this way. So I think the Democrats are looking at this stuff and saying, hey, if we get enough of these people here, we will, win elections. And they're admitting that. And then when Tucker Carlson says that, they call it like a racist conspiracy theory, but they admit that they're doing that. So it's a trap. It's not, it's like an observation more than a racist thing. And I think also they want like a class of obedient workers. Like, for instance, in the military and in the police force, they're weeding conservatives out of the police and the military. Most military are conservative, but they have all these double standards, and they're trying to, threaten people, or rather say, you get the vaccine or else you can't do this, this, and this. So they're trying to get in an obedient class in the military and the police who listen to their rules. So it's the same thing in Los Angeles. They don't care if they don't want the wealthy people to leave and pay taxes, but they don't care if you leave Los Angeles. They'll bring in illegals or people that are legal and don't really speak the language who will do the hard labor. And they like that. It's like they want an obedient class to work for them that won't question them. So for instance, like, I have an attitude, okay? I'm not going to just do whatever the government tells me to. I'm not going to bend over for tyranny and communism. But if you're an illegal or legal migrant from Mexico or South America or Central America, and you don't have that much money, you don't really have a say as much. It's like you're just working jobs that you can. And I love, for that reason, I love Hispanics. Not everyone acts like that. There's people who own companies, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but you see a lot of the hard labor in this country is now done by the Hispanic population. And it's hard for them that, a lot of people don't know the language. A lot of people are kind of just doing what they can to get by, and they work their asses off. And I love them for that. But I think the Democrats see them and say, I don't care if you leave. If you leave, I'll replace you with that person, and that person will never question me. So I think they're not only taking over Texas, I think they're taking over and trying to switch the voting demographics of these countries, but also in the cities where they already rule. I think they could care less how many people leave, because, there's always going to be a class of labor that will work for them. And I think in that way, if you break that down to the Democrats and the left, they could start understanding it more. Like build a wall. Not everybody's going to want to hear that. But as far as the left, like, you got to understand, like, what they're doing to the lower and middle and working classes. They're like making the rich richer and the poor poorer, and the poor, they want a subservient class of workers who will never stand up and question them. So what the left is doing, they're just using all this fake activism, fake racial activism, fake Hispanic. It's all fake. It's all a way to weed out these cities to get a permanent working class that'll never question them, a police force that'll never question them, a military that'll never question them. And statistically, I think the reason that they really hate white people, I don't think they think white people are committing all these crimes and doing everything bad. I think they think that white people demographically vote conservative, and that's the one, racial voting block. If you were to break it down by race and statistics, that's the one voting block that's keeping American conservative. If you flip the population of Texas, it's not just like nothing's going to change. Not only is the culture going to change, but the voting patterns are going to change. And if the voting patterns change, the governor changes. If the governor changes, Texas is no different than California. So the Democrats and the liberals are playing like 5-dimensional chess. And I don't want to get too crazy with it, but if you look at, I want to say Syria and Libya, a lot of these intervention regime change wars that America got involved in Syria and Libya, they created the refugee crisis. So there was no refugee crisis. There was no excuse or reason to bring in mass people from certain areas because there wasn't anything that unstable in certain areas. And when America went into Syria, when America went into Libya, they caused a refugee crisis, and that refugee crisis forever altered the course of Paris and America. And if you talk to people from France, Paris used to be really, really safe. Paris is not safe anymore. It's not nearly as nice as it used to be. That's just a fact. Same with like LA is admitting now they have a crime problem. LA is terrible. It's way worse than it was 7 years ago. I lived there for 8 years. It was always LA, but I mean, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. Every year it gets worse. So they're declining the world. They're declining Europe. They're declining France. They're declining Germany. They're declining the UK. They're declining America. And the reason is not because they love transgenders and gay people. They're just using all this fake activism because if you're skeptical of the banks and then you put a gay flag on the bank, there's a meme like that. Now everyone's like, oh, the banks are, oh, this is a gay parade. It's like, dude, it's bankers. Bankers are the ones that are running the whole show. They have the money. The money, if you own the casino, doesn't matter if you hit the jackpot, someone owns the casino. They're making the money. The banks are making all the big money. They put a gay flag on a bank and everybody thinks it's like an LGBT bank. You put a gay flag on a children's cereal, you forget that it's sugar. So all this, sexual, racial, Hispanic, Black, whatever, all this activism in the media, it's not to say there isn't real problems going on, but it's all fake. It's all a way for Democrats to gain total control. And if you look at the taxes and all these things that they're doing, the Democrats are always more tyrannical. Their lockdowns are longer. Their mask policies are stricter. Their vaccine policies stricter. Their stadiums are less full. Their cities have higher taxes. Everything's about control, more money, more power, a more subservient working class. So they don't care about prosperity of the Hispanic population. They're trying to drive out, and don't care if they drive out, anybody who questions them, and they'll replace you in a second. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's just what's happening. It's like in LA, millions of people are leaving. Millions of people are leaving California. Millions of people are leaving the big cities. They don't really care. They're like, okay, see ya. We're still going to run Facebook, and someone else will do the work that you were doing. So that's the thing with race, where I think there's two arguments going on. It's like one side says everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's xenophobic, everything's anti-Semitic, everything is and that just muddies the water where you can't even have a real conversation. Well, I'm pansexual, I'm bisexual, I'm transsexual. It's like, just figure out what you are and let people know. We don't need to have a whole freaking session of 10,000 words. Like, my pronouns are this, or it's like, that's such a privileged thing. Imagine you're in Libya and you're starving. Like, does anyone care what your pronouns are? It's such an American privileged, spoiled thing to like even have the energy and time to demand that people call you things. My name is Anomaly, but if you call me Poo Poo Head, like, I'm not, oh, that's not my name. Like, okay, you called me a wrong name. Like, whatever, that's on you. So you get what I'm saying? All that's just a diversion on the left. And then on the right, I think they don't take it seriously. Like the Charlie Kirks and Shapiros, like they'll be like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. But it's like, guys, you're not convincing these racial demographics to vote for you. It's just not happening. You're not pulling the numbers. So no matter how much you love people, and I love people, math and science are gonna, supersede unless you can drive a really effective argument to the Hispanic population and convince 70% of them to vote Republican. Maybe it's possible. If you could flip the Black community and turn 60% conservative, then yeah, we're talking about a different story. But if you can't, which it looks like it's very hard to do, and it's not really happening, I think the Hispanic population is coming around quicker. But it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you think or how much you love people. Like, it's a numbers game. It just is. And I think there's certain people on this planet that are playing 5-dimensional chess with those numbers game. And then there's the rest of us who are just, going along for the ride. But I think, it's an interesting conversation, and it's one that can't really be had because, it's like either the left calls you a racist or the right says, no, we don't want to talk about that or something. So it just doesn't get had that often. Someone said, would there even be a Republican at that point? Well, that's what they're going for. I think if you could find it, Tucker did a whole segment on it. It was one of his best segments. They called him a racist and said he was pushing a white supremacist replacement theory. And what Tucker did was he found clips of Democrats from Texas. What's his name? Julian Castro. You can find a video of Julian Castro. He specifically says, we're changing the demographics of Texas and the Democrats are going to win because we're changing the demographics. It's like, it's not a white supremacist conspiracy theory. There's clips of Democrats admitting and bragging that that's why they're doing it. I mean, you have to, and I know it gets tough, but you have to be a fool to think that the Democratic Party really cares about people in El Salvador. Like, that's not why they're doing it. I wish they were. And you could say the same about, the right wing with certain groups too. A lot of it's just for show, but it's an interesting combo that's just not often had. And, on that note, I want to say, I was talking about the debate earlier that I watched, Robert Barnes and Nick Fuentes. It's really fascinating because they debated about Israel. And, Robert Barnes is a Jewish lawyer who's super pro-Israel, super right-wing conservative. In my opinion, really good lawyer, really honest guy. I mean, I've always mostly agreed with what he said. And he was kind of defending Israel as our greatest ally. And then Nick Fuentes is more a pro-America and more critical of Israel. And his argument was, well, I don't hate Israel per se, but I just think they're not that great of an ally. I don't think they're that loyal, or I think we spend too much money. We give them billions of dollars a year. And it's a fascinating debate if you could find it. I think the website is like greatdebate.news or something. But I was listening to it today, and I think a good point that Nick brought up that Robert, to be honest, didn't really have anything to say about it was, in the Syrian war. So like, for instance, one of the reasons for the Syrian war, they'll never admit this, but, if you listen to Robert Barnes talk about Syria, he knows that Israel's constantly fighting Syria. Syria is working with Iran and Russia. So, the real driver behind the Syrian war, you could say it's because of oil. You could say that Bashar al-Assad's a horrible person and he's killing his people. From my research, I don't think that's true. I'm not a fanatic of Syria or Bashar al-Assad, but I think the real reason that we fought Syria is because Israel has a beef with a lot of its neighbors and it wants certain land and it doesn't want them working with Iran. So Israel's such a great ally that they pull us into war after war. We get in a war with Syria. We end up on the side of radical Wahhabist, rebel groups. And all of a sudden now there's a refugee crisis. And now that refugee crisis, millions of people are displaced and dispersed and they don't know where to go. So then that creates the great refugee crisis of Europe that really, changed the landscape of Europe forever. So, I think Nick was making a valid argument of like, I don't know how great of an ally they are. And, when you say that, you just get called all sorts of names. They call you a Nazi or an anti-Semite or, how dare you? So it's a conversation people on the right don't want to have. But I found it fascinating. Someone that I really respect in Robert Barnes, really smart and honest guy, he looked very disingenuous. I mean, he was just using straw man arguments, in my opinion, just lying about most of his talking points. It was just fascinating to watch that because I was like, man, that's a guy I consider super bright and super honest, just get completely dissected by somebody half his age. And, I think there were a lot of valid points that got brought up in the debate. It's worth a watch if you can find it. But I was the one dude's talking about geometria, bro. It's not my thing. No offense. And some of you geometria people are kind of weirdos. No offense. Like some guys like, dude, I did the math of your name. You're working with Chris Sky in the U.S. government. It's like, what are you talking about? Like you added up numbers in my name and you decided I know Chris Sky. I've never even met Chris Sky. I've just spoken to him on an Instagram live. And no disrespect to Chris. I like him. I'm just saying like you geometria people need to curb your attitudes. You guys think you're so hot shit. Like, I mean, even if I was like a professional quarterback, like with 5 MVPs, I wouldn't act like you did to other basketball players. Like, I'm the best basketball player or football player ever. It's like, people that are good at what they do don't act like that. That's, it's called being humble. But it's like, you guys are so pompous and so arrogant. And then you guys are like tarot card readers. It's like not everyone's good. You guys make shitty claims all the time. And then it's like everybody questions you. They're working with someone else. It's like maybe you're not that good at it. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate it. It's called geometry. It's a numbers thing. I'm not against it, but it's like the geometry people, they very rarely come to me. Geometry. It's like a number thing where you're adding on numbers. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying they never come to me and say, hey, Anomaly, I like your videos. You should check out this guy. They're just like, Anomaly, you're never going to tell the truth unless you're me. It's like, I could tell you guys aren't that honest just by the way you act. Like you guys act like weirdos. So. But very persistent crowd. Someone said all geometria calculators are controlled opposition. Yeah, I can't tell you what's controlled op or not with that. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's some people who are good at spotting patterns. I do believe in patterns, number patterns, like I was just talking about. I'm not anti-geometria, but like everyone's not good at it. It's like a fortune teller. You could go online, you could probably find 1,000 fortune tellers in Los Angeles. Not all of them are that good. You know, there's probably a few really like intuitive spiritual people who can really tell you something. And the rest of them are just subpar, you know, scammers, I think. So it's like, I think it's geometria too. It's like everybody who does geometria, they think they're so good. And they come to me and they're like, I did your name with Chris Sky. You know, Chris Sky, the guy from Canada. I talked to him on an Instagram live stream. That's the only time I talked to him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing him under the bus. I actually like him. We had a great chat. He's a fun guy. And this guy's like, I did the math of your name. I added up Dream Rare and I added up Chris Sky. And he's like, I could tell you're working with controlled op. And I'm like, bro, you're not Miss Cleo. Like you're not as good as you think you are. I don't even know what you're doing, but thank you, Hot Computer something. Someone said Dems and Repups are all puppets of the Jesuits. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this though. I was somewhere yesterday where I was watching a television and all the channels, like I want to say like channel 2, channel 3, channel 5, it was all race propaganda. It was like, remember George Floyd, race matters, race this, race that. I was like, oh my gosh, MSNBC, PBS. It was just all crazy left propaganda. And then I went to History Channel, and History Channel is based, they're talking about Freemasons. I was like, now that's cool. I don't watch TV that much, but I watched a whole thing on History Channel, and they're just going on and on about the Freemasons. I was like, this is I'm pretty impressed that they're allowed to put this on television. So they were like, Martin Luther King was about to be, you know, that's how they talk on it. They're like, Martin Luther King was about to be initiated as a black Freemason before he got assassinated. And I was like, what? I know that. I've heard a lot of Martin Luther King theories. I never heard that, but that's on the History Channel. That's not Anomaly, folks. That's like cable news. I was like, wow, I didn't know they do that on the TV, but it was interesting. They were talking about Freemasonry, History Channel. Pretty interesting. Someone said they missed the mark pretty often. Yeah, I think the second thing was about like animals getting slaughtered by aliens or something. And I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about with this one, but you know, the Freemason part was pretty interesting. I don't, and I take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying the History Channel is the be all end all, but I was just impressed that they were even allowing that conversation on. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty well done. A lot of History Channel haters. This is the only time I've watched it. Don't worry. I'm not like a History Channel shill. I just saw it the one time. I was like, interesting topic. Someone said they do it to throw people off track. Yeah, I guess I don't consume that much media. So when I see something like that, it just piques my interest. I learn. And then, you know, if I wanted to explore more, I could online or something. So I would assume a lot of people watch it and it's like a building block for them to do other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of like, you know, theories and like alien stuff that I'm not that into. But I've been to like a conference with I don't know if you guys know Jimmy Church. He runs a radio show. Really nice guy. Always really cool to me. He invited me to some like alien conference or something. It's not my scene. I mean, it was fun, but like, there were like 6 people talking about aliens on stage and they're arguing with each other. I know that's not true. I have the source. And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I don't know what to believe. Jimmy was just the host. He wasn't really talking that much, but I thought it was pretty funny. You got all these like, all these alien people, and they were like beefing with each other, like egoed out, like I know the real aliens, and I'm like, I don't know which one of y'all telling the truth. Someone said Kwame's on fire. Kwame Brown, yeah, he's going in. He's definitely keeping it real. Someone said Kwame's real, aliens are fake. Yeah, I'm not going to make a deep statement like that, but someone said now you guys are arguing about aliens. That's fine. I don't want to argue with you because I'm not an expert. But if y'all want to argue about aliens in the YouTube comments, that's fine. I'll see what Facebook's doing. Let me see. Craig said Proverbs 29:11. Fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold back. I like that, Craig. That reminds me to not get angry. That's why we got to have more fun here. Did I hear about the Pentagon has found out that 60,000 Americans are PSYOP cyber spoofs? I saw it on We Are Change. No, I didn't hear that, but I'll check it out. PSYOP cyber spoofs? What do you mean? Like internet digital like accounts, like Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, or like just let me, that sounds interesting. I like We Are Change. I haven't seen them since they deleted their YouTube that much, but I got to check it out. Estroil, thank you. Appreciate the super chat. All right, I want to give Facebook some love too. Someone said when the mainstream media starts talking about Bigfoot and aliens, you know something's up. Yeah, I know. Next year it's going to be like, hey guys, we found Bigfoot. Bigfoot was at an Amazon warehouse, so we're gonna have to lock down the country again. Amazon's gonna stay open, but we're gonna lock your business down because Bigfoot's there. People are gonna be like, this seems a little sketchy. I don't know about all that. New music soon. I'm working on a music video, so I'm editing a music video. I really should get somebody else to do this for me, but it's okay. Work hard, play hard. You know what I'm saying? I like to do my own thing sometimes. So yeah, way too jacked for the gulag. The music video is coming soon. Godzilla next. It could be. It could be. Someone said you have inspired me to grow long hair. It's now past my shoulders. Well, hopefully enjoy it. I'm not trying to be an inspiration. I just got lazy and didn't cut my hair, and here we are. But I like to, I body surf, so I could use the excuse and just be like, I'm a surfer, yo. Am I a prepper? Yeah, I mean, I'm a prepper to some extent. Like I definitely have some things prepared, but in a true emergency, I don't know. I feel like it's going to take more than a food kit. But yeah, I have water, I have food. I have certain things for sure. I have a bunch of beans and canned goods and stuff, but I on one hand, I do try to prep. On another hand, I think to myself, if things ever go down, it's going to get weird. Like when the lockdown happened, I went to my friend's house. We got a bunch of groceries, like I prepped in the moment where it's like, hopefully nothing crazy happens, but it's tough to, even for an emergency, it's like you can only prepare so much, but I do try to stay somewhat prepared. Diana said, I've never cruised with Carnival, but my friend told me Carnival is not making the vax mandatory. Yeah, I called Royal Caribbean, and they said there was a mask mandate, and I'm not wearing a mask on a cruise boat. So, my man on Facebook just gave me the Proverbs, so I'm sticking to the Proverbs. A fool gets angry, a wise man, calms down. So I'm not going to get mad. Thank you for the proverb. You're making me a better, more godly person as we speak. So I'm not going to get upset. But Royal Caribbean, disappointing. Shame. Do I know any famous people who are based? Yeah, I mean, I do. I don't want to out people though, because honestly, I've been shown a lot of love. Like some pretty cool people have reached out to me recently, but I don't want to say their names publicly, because I just don't want them to have problems. I know it's not a big deal, but there's some, I don't know what they believe or what they like. Cause on Instagram, I do so many videos, like all different topics. I talk about testing. I talk about this, I talk about BLM. So I got all sorts of people. So I don't know what their beliefs are completely, but almost every other day, like a celebrity or somebody will follow me, and like some pretty cool people have reached out, but I don't want to say their names because I don't want to get them in trouble. It's hard to be like an athlete or a celebrity and, be like not a complete degenerate, because that's on them. It's like, if you want to come out and say what you want to say, that's fine, but I don't want to get anybody in more trouble than they need to be in. Someone said Rob Schneider is based. Well, yeah, Rob is pretty outspoken. I've never spoken to Rob, but he's a really cool guy. I think he's a very genuine, good guy. Out of all the celebrities and all the people who are political, I've never spoken to Rob, but I mean, he's very good on medical tyranny. He's very fair, even in the Middle East. I think he's Jewish, but he's not like crazy one-sided, lopsided with anything. I think he's just like super. I've seen him talk about Syria. He was giving good takes about Syria. He gives good takes on the medicine. Like, I've really never seen a take that I didn't like from Rob Schneider. So yeah, shout out Rob Schneider. That's a good guy right there. Someone said all celebrities are bought and paid for. Most are the top families. I mean, I don't know about that. I think some athletes and stuff, like, I don't know. Some people are like royal family that, but there's other people. There's good people in the film and music and sports industry. I mean, there's some good people, but there's also some terrible people, clearly. Someone said, what does based mean? I don't know. It's used all sorts of ways. Based, people mean, are they cool? Are they woke? Are they right wing? Lil B, the Bass God's a rapper. I don't know what he means by it. So it's used a lot, but I think it's mostly used in right wing politics. Like, that person's cool. That person's woke. It's like the right wing. He's based. So you see all sorts of people use that word. So I think the meaning varies. Someone said, the heck with a cruise. You look like a kayaker. Who said that? That's funny. Jamie or Jaime? That's funny. I look like a kayaker. That's like a diss and a compliment at the same time, but I love it. I do look like a kayaker. And to be quite frank, I'll own it. I do like to kayak. It's not my thing. I'm not a pro, but you give me a kayak, you give me, a lake or a river, you might catch me kayaking there. So thank you. Someone said I worked with Rob on a commercial. A super nice guy. Yeah, Rob Schneider's a great guy. He's got good politics too, and what I like about Rob, my favorite thing about him is he's very good with the medical tyranny. He's been way ahead of the curve. He's always been against medical tyranny, and he's been like a consistent voice. And there's unfortunately, it's not that common even in the Republican Party. So he's conservative, but Rob's not a generic conservative. Sometimes conservatives, they're like one-trick ponies. They just say what everyone else is saying. Rob is always making a good take, whether it's like the Syrian war, whether it's the vaccine. I like a good Rob Schneider. He's always got a very thoughtful, unique take on it. He's very pro free speech too. I posted this thing with Noam Chomsky, and I believe he retweeted it. So, the reason I brought up that he was Jewish is because a lot of people that are Jewish, they'll use the word anti-Semitism a lot with the Middle East. They get a little, because a lot of people have a connection, so they get a little over the top. He retweeted my Noam Chomsky thing where he's like a free speech absolutist too. He doesn't just call everybody anti-Semites all the time. It's really annoying because they're using that to take away free speech, just like the left is. So I saw him retweet that, and he was like, free speech is free speech. I was like, he's got a good opinion on everything. He has, like, out of all the celebrities, I don't see him having any weak points. He doesn't like flop and just start calling everybody hate speech and stuff. He's like, no, I believe in free speech. I believe in medical autonomy, and that's, unfortunately, it's rare. Like, even with Robert Barnes, I like Robert Barnes, but he's calling Nick a Nazi. He's calling him, he hates all people. I'm like, dude, that's what's wrong with political commentary. If someone hates somebody, that's fine. But if you can't debate somebody with facts and logic and reason, and the only thing you could say is you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a xenophobe, you're a Nazi, you're Hitler, you hate Jews, you hate black people, you hate Mexicans, like, you lose the debate. And you lose my interest, because it's like, I thought him and Nick had a great debate. And then afterwards, he just starts calling them all these racists. I'm like, dude, come on. So I like that Rob Schneider doesn't do that. He doesn't play the victim. He doesn't just use those words all the time. He's like, free speech, no mandated vaccines, get that out of my face. Rob Schneider, an example of what to be as an American, not being a phony. The Yeti said they want us to think all of Hollywood or government is evil. It's divide and conquer tactic. Plus, you think it's been conquered, so you stay away. I mean, there's good and bad people everywhere, I think. And there's people caught up in the mix, but for sure, I hear you. Someone said hate speak is effective because it's hatred in people's hearts. Well, I just don't, I don't believe in the word hate speech. I don't believe the word racist, all those words. That's what my book's about. I keep saying it's almost done, because it is, but the word racist, it's overused. The word sexist, it's overused. The word trans, anti-trans, it's overused. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, you're anti-trans, you're transphobic. Are you afraid? You're not afraid. Are you anti? No, maybe you just have an opinion that sports should be segregated based on gender. That doesn't mean you hate somebody. So all these words, anti-Semitic, racist, people who use them in debates, I don't care how smart you think you are. That's a word that doesn't, you make a point. If you think somebody hates Israel, or you think somebody hates Palestine, or whatever it is, explain why, articulate why without using those words, and I might believe you. If you don't have good logic and you don't have good reason, and all you could say is racist, conspiracy theory, it's like, you definitely lose the debate. I don't care which side of politics people are on. It's a defense mechanism when you're not sound with the argument. You default to just trying to make them look like a horrible person when, you can't figure out why you're trying to say what you're saying. So someone said anti-semi-truck. You're anti-truck. Yeah, that's anti-car. You get it, though. Someone said those words are meant to divide us. Yeah, they're meant to divide us, but they're meant to censor speech. Like, if you have, hold on one second. The book I'm writing, I know I really need to finish it, but sorry, I'm editing. I'm referencing this a lot. I know you can't see it on Facebook, or maybe you can. It's the American Dictionary of the English Language from Noam Webster, not Noam Chomsky, Noah Webster, 1918. I'm sorry, 1828. I'm tired. So this is over 100, almost 200 years old. So if you look up this, you could look at words in this dictionary. Like, it's got the word retarded in it. You can't say the word retarded anymore. But if you look up the word retarded in the dictionary, it literally means to slow down. It's a real word. It doesn't just mean I hate that person with mental handicap. It means you're slowing down velocity. It's retarding. It's a retarded. It's not a hate speech word. They're stealing our dictionary. They're manipulating our dictionary by saying that word's a mean word. One person misused it or used it in a mean way. Now you can't say it. I don't believe the word anti-Semitic or racist or sexist. They don't exist in this dictionary, because if you look at the words, my whole book that I'm writing, I use this dictionary. I use the modern dictionary. I use Google. I have everything. And I'm just saying the word, I'll give you an example of my book. The word sexist means to discriminate against gender. The word discriminate essentially means to differentiate and to see them as different. So if you see a man and a woman as different and you treat them differently, if you discriminate against them, if you have a daughter, you have to discriminate against her, not to be mean, but the word discriminate doesn't mean you hate them. It means you know the difference between your boy and your girl who might bleed at a certain point and have a period. Like, they're not the same. They don't have the same sexual organs. They're going to go to different sporting events, and you have to, discriminate. But most people don't know what the word discriminate means, because it just sounds bad. It sounds like a hate speech word, discriminate. I'll look it up real quick just to give you an example. The word discriminate, let me see, discriminate definition. It means recognition and understanding of the difference between one thing and another. So if you recognize and understand the difference between a man and a woman, you're discriminating. So you can't possibly not be sexist if you don't. You go. These words are trash right from the beginning. So what does the word racist mean? Most people don't even know. That it changes all the time. Sometimes it means this. Sometimes it means this. Sometimes it means this. It's not a. It's a word that is overused and underdefined. The word sexist doesn't even make sense because it literally means to discriminate against genders, and discriminate means to know the difference. So if you know the difference between the genders, you're sexist, even if you love men and women, as a person. I'm not talking about sexually, but I'll go through all these words: anti-Semitic, xenophobic. Like I don't just talk about them and say, oh, this is my opinion of what a racist means. I say all these words are made up, created words that don't even have real definitions. So I use this dictionary that I bought online. It's not official and original, but I mean, it's like a reprint. It's like 200 years old. And I compare and contrast the words and stuff. And I'm trying to just make my point and I say this to both sides, because the left uses the word racist, sexist, xenophobic all the time, way too much. And the ADL, left-wing groups like the ADL, use the word anti-Semitic all the time. The right wing, they claim to be against all this stuff, but how many times do you hear the right wing use the word racist? Oh, Joe Biden's a racist for his 3 strikes policy. If Trump did a 3 strikes policy, you'd be hailing it and say, Trump cares. He's trying to clean up the streets. I don't even like Biden, but it's like he does a 3 strike policy and now he's racist. Does he hate all black people, or did he just make a good or bad policy? It's the tactics and then the right calls everybody anti-Semitic all the time, and they overuse it, where it's, I don't like people who are hateful, but the word hate speech, the word racist, the word sexist, the word xenophobic, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theorists, climate change, anti-vaxxer, they're all invented words or manipulated words that expand and contract depending who's using them. And if we want to really move forward, I think, with our country and our society, we should stop using those words completely and just make an argument. If you think Joe Biden hates or is hurting black people, explain why. Can you explain why without using the word racist? Then I might believe you. If you can't explain why he hates black people without using the word racist, I'm not going to believe you. I think Joe Biden is doing a disservice, and the Democrats are doing a disservice to black people. I'm not going to say they're racist, but I will say that they look at them as, inferior in a certain way. They say, you can't vote without us. You can't get an ID. We're going to do this for you. We're going to do this. You can't do anything without us. And then you look at the cities, they're trying to defund or abolish the police at certain extents. And you're like, is that really going to make that neighborhood more safe? So it's like, I could go through why I think he's bad for Black America without just saying the word. If you racist, you're a bad person. I'm a good person. Over. I win. It's a bad word. So try to hopefully, debate without using those words, I think, is more honest. And, for an example, the Robert Barnes, Nick Fuentes debate, I watched it today. I felt like, I went into it. Obviously, I have a certain skew, but I really like Robert Barnes. I really do. I think he's an honest guy. And I think Nick is a valiant up-and-coming person that gets often misunderstood and nobody ever hears him out. So I was pumped on seeing Nick debate Robert Barnes on the Israel perspective. And, the take that I got from it is, Nick, I felt like, even though he's younger than Robert, was say what you want about him, a class act. I mean, said what he meant, said how he felt, didn't seem mean, didn't seem hateful, didn't really explain why, from an America perspective, if you love America, why you think it's okay to question Israel. Just like if Israel wanted to question America, I wouldn't call them racist. If I was Jewish and I lived in Israel, I would want Israel first. I would care about my country, and America would always play second fiddle because I'm not American, unless I had dual citizenship, but that's another story. So I felt like Nick was very straightforward. This is why I think this is happening. And Robert called the anti-Semitic. He said Jewish conspiracy theory. He said he compared him to a Nazi. That's how Robert Barnes won the debate. He wasn't making much sense. I actually have heard his perspective from my friends with way more truth, to be quite honest. I know his perspective. He did a terrible job of debating. All he had were those words. And that's the sign of somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. They can't logically explain why their point makes sense, a lot of times either because they're not a good debater or their point doesn't make sense. So they default to getting upset and smearing the other person as a Nazi, an anti-Semite, a Jew hater. I mean, it's a tactic to put them down without explaining why they feel that way. So I think there's a lot to learn from that debate, because although Robert is an intelligent lawyer and a really great guy, in my opinion, I mean, it was really sad to see him, go to those tactics with someone who wasn't yelling, who wasn't getting upset, who was super, super calm and reasonable, where, I mean, everything he said made sense to me, where I was like, I get the other perspective, but it's very common in both wings, people overusing the word racist and sexist and anti-Semite, but, to each their own. That's just, as a consumer, I see stuff like that and I'm just like disappointed. I'm like, really? It's like when Charlie Kirk started doing all that. And I was like, I always liked Charlie before that, but I was like, man, he really can't debate. He doesn't know how to answer these questions. So he just keeps smearing them as like white supremacists and all that. And then now he adopts their stance. If you listen to Charlie, he's way more critical on legal immigration than he was 2 years ago. It's like all these people who hate on and call names to other people, it's like Facebook with the lab leak theory. They censor you one year, the next year they're saying what you said after they attacked you last year. Everybody makes mistakes, to each their own, but that's just what I saw. I was like, it's interesting, but I'm so interested in it. I'm writing a whole book on it. I keep getting involved with videos and music videos. So I gotta focus, buckle down, because I'm this close to finishing my book. All the chapters, I think it's like 70 pages. I'm not going to disappoint. I'm not going to write a book about myself. I don't really care that much right now. This is going to be a book for the country, for the world. Hopefully just like linguistically just debunking all of these words and trying to get people on either party to just like stop using them so much. It's annoying. Someone said conservatives historically are not about homosexuality. I'm glad you brought that up, because this is what was crazy to me. And this was like a year or two ago when someone asked Charlie Kirk a question. I think he said, how does anal sex help us win the culture war? Charlie Kirk with Rob Smith, they freaked out, called them like homophobes or whatever. And I could see both sides. I have friends that are gay conservatives that say, Anamla, you inspired me, like Amir on Instagram, he's crushing it. He's like, you inspired me to do like commentary. And it's like, he's a buddy of mine. He's a friend. He's a good guy. I've never met him, but he's super nice. I see both sides, but I'm thinking to myself, when Charlie calls him a homophobe, I'm like, dude, even Obama used to be anti-gay marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you call your own party a homophobe when the traditional Christian conservative stance is anti-gay marriage? You can be for it, but the fact that you're going to then use the word homophobic on a Christian for asking the question about gay sex, that was crazy to me. But that just shows how conservatives don't really conserve anything. The conservatives just become a different version of the left-wingers 12 years ago. You look at Hillary Clinton in 1995, Obama in 1995, Bill Clinton in 1995, none of them supported gay marriage. The Republicans were more against it. And now, Republican conservative figures are using smear words against their own party, acting like they're afraid of gay people, where you don't have to agree with them. But when you use the word homophobic, you should never. Have you ever heard me use that word? It doesn't make sense. Homophobic, gay, homosexual, phobia, afraid. Are you afraid of gay people? Most people are not afraid of gay people unless you're secretly gay and you're so afraid of them because you're afraid you're going to be gay around them or something. You're a homophobe. But like, most people are not homophobes. They're just like, they have an opinion on the LGBT agenda. They have an opinion on conservative culture. They have an opinion on, the amount of people who are homophobic is like very small. The amount of times that it's used is like 1 million times. It's used in the left and the right, the Republicans. You're a homophobe. You're a homophobe. Oh, you don't like Richard Grenell? You're a homophobe. Oh, you don't like Rob Smith? You're homophobic. Nobody's afraid of gay people. Like, no, I mean, there's like 5 people in America that are like hiding in their closet. I'm like, why are you hiding in the closet? And they're like, I'm homophobic. I'm afraid of gay people. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't hide in the closet because that's where they usually stay. They come out of the closet and then they run the other way because they're like, oh my God, I forgot that they hide in the closet. It's a gay joke, but you get what I'm saying. It's like these words don't even make sense. That's why I watch politics and I'm like, people are so annoying. They're like, he's a homophobe. He's a racist. It's like, are we 5 years old? I was more of an adult when I was 15. I used to hang out on the bus with my Indian friend. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to like out my friends, but I had an Indian friend. I had a Jewish friend. We had a Hispanic friend. I'm mostly white, but I'm Polish, I'm Italian. People made fun of me. We never called each other racist. We never called each other anti-Semitic. We never called each other homophobic. And everybody liked each other because there was a mutual respect. And a bully was a bully. A good person was a good person. A hater was a hater. You could identify who was who without using all these words. Like, how was I more of an adult when I was 14 with my interracial friends than, adults in politics? These people are 60 years old calling each other homophobes and race. I mean, people used to tell, dirtier gay jokes when they were 15 years old, and like everybody laughed, and like, it wasn't even pointed at gay people in general. It's just like a joke. That's why the left isn't funny anymore, because everything's a joke. Like, you can't say that. You can't. What do you think a joke is? A joke is not something about nothing. A joke is like, you're making fun of race, you're making fun of religion, you're making fun of gender. Maybe you're black and your wife is Italian or Jewish, and the mom's really annoying, so you're making fun of the mom. You don't hate Italian or Jewish people. Like, I watched this one guy, he was making fun of that, where it's like, he doesn't hate the whole population. It's just a funny joke because people are like imagining their families, and you're like, I do know a mother-in-law that's annoying like that. That's all comedy is. It's like, if you take out race, if you take out religion, if you take out gender, if you take out family, if you take out mother-in-laws, if you take out culture, there is nothing. Like, what do you make a joke about? Well, I was hanging out with my pansexual friends, and one of them was non-binary, and we were really respectful, just really respectful. I'm talking like so respectful that like she switch genders in the middle of our conversation. And that's totally fine, because like Ellen Page and Elliot Page, it's really up to her. It's like, if that's your act, it's actually not funny anymore. It's like, you can't have comedy unless you make fun of something. Like, there's got to be like, hey, like I'm skinny, I'm fat. Like, it's all about that. I'm skinny, fat, black, white. It's, I was in the hood and it was getting crazy out there, yo. And everyone's like, ha ha ha. And then I was in the white part of the town and there was a yoga class, and everyone's like, oh, I've seen that at the white part. It's like, it's not racist. It's like, that's your observation of the world. If you take that away, it's not funny anymore, which is why television sucks and movies suck now, because they're all so stupid, which is hilarious that they have to censor me, because it's like, I'm not even a comedian. And what I just said in that last minute was funnier than most shows. And I'm not bragging like I'm that funny. I'm making fun of them because they're that not funny. Like, did you guys watch SNL with Elon Musk? It's amazing how not funny it was. Like, I seriously watched it for like 5 minutes, and my face was like this, because I like Elon Musk. I think he's funny. But anyway, I'm watching and I'm just like, and they're just like, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is the dumbest thing I've literally seen like in a long time. I just scroll through Twitter and Instagram some days. I see dumb shit all the time. The dumbest thing I've seen in the last month was SNL. It's dumber than any internet video I've seen all year. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, this is insane. Like, it takes talent to be that not funny. Like, you got Kenan Thompson, hilarious. You get the best comedians in the world. You got Elon Musk, and you write the dumbest script ever. It's like shockingly stupid. So, I mean, they've lost everything because they overuse the words racist, sexist, and they're all afraid to do anything. God forbid you make a joke that makes conservatives look good or something, or it's like, I'm so tired of these people. It's just not fun. Are you fully vaccinated? Did you get the Moderna? Did you get the Pfizer? Did you get number 2? It's like, did I? I don't know. Check my card. I don't have one. Did you get the J&J? Did you get the J&J before or after they took it off market? I got it in the middle. Got a dealer. It's like, that's not legal. Did you get the J&J? I got it before. I got the Pfizer. Yeah, I got the Moderna. I know somebody who got 2 of the Moderna. I just got 2 of the Pfizer. Pfizer gang. Yang gang, Pfizer gang. Yo, universal basic income, Pfizer. You trying to go to Lollapalooza? I'm fully vaccinated. We'll go to Lollapalooza. I mean, we can go to Vax Live. Watch Selena Gomez and Jimmy Kimmel. It's going to be really tight. It's just like, this culture is so far detached from what was liberal when I grew up. Like, rap music was cool. when I grew up. I thought it was cool. I don't know. Maybe I was just stupid, but I gotta go back. That's not true. I still listen to rap music and it's still good. So it's not me. I'm starting to sound like a boomer. It's not me. It's Gen Z. It's the millennials. They screwed up, not us. We landed on the moon. Listen, I love a good moon chat. It's a good time. Someone messaged me on Instagram. They're like, Anomaly, I saw you talking about the moon. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, bubbles in space. And they showed me a video of like bubbles in space. And this dude's going to like astronauts events. And he's like, hey, what's going on with the bubbles in space? And he went to a NASA event and he's just yelling at the astronaut, I think something Kelly or something. He's like, what's up with the bubbles in space? And the guy's like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, what bubbles? Shout out to that guy who hit me up on Instagram with the bubbles thing. I don't know what to think of that yet. I didn't see enough, but I just thought it was hilarious. He goes around to astronaut events and asks them like questions about bubbles in space, and the astronauts are panicking. NASA's seriously the funniest thing to me. It's like I'm not even against it, or I'm not pro or con. If you've ever seen Buzz Aldrin, he punched some guy in the face one time. Buzz Aldrin is one of the funniest people in the country. Some guy's walking up to him. If you search Buzz Aldrin punch in the face or something, you can find it. Buzz Aldrin's one of the moon guys. Some guy comes up to him. He's like, hey, put your hand on the Holy Bible. Put your hand on the Bible and swear that you went to the moon. He's like, swear that you meant to the moon. Put your hand on the Bible. And he just turns and it just socks the guy. I feel like I got to find that video. Hold on one second. I wish I could. I don't know if I have my laptop. Am I distorting it? It's been so long. Let me see. Buzz Aldrin moon punch. I feel like he punched someone in the face. Maybe I'm wrong. Buzz Aldrin sues his own children. That's not it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Buzz Aldrin punches a moon landing denier. All right, I'm just going to play the audio.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Get out of here. This is a hotel. We police. We pay. Come on in here. We'll call them. Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
Sir, I don't have nothing to do with this. We
Okay.
did not solicit on this property.
We just pay to rent out the penthouse and shoot up there. So
You can't solicit like this on this property.
keep.
All right, well, then I go through my thing.
Sorry, I got to get to the punch part. I'm sorry. You just Google Buzz Aldrin punches moon landing denier. Hold on, I got to see this.
You gotta keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
See this.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Call it kettle black. If ever thought of saying that misrepresented.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Oh, yeah. He hit him so hard. I forgot. Oh my God. I forgot how funny that was. I wonder if that guy watches my page. I feel like he might support me. Sometimes I talk about stuff like this and they'll like message me like, dude, I'm the guy who got punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin. I'm like, dude, it's pretty epic, but probably illegal one way or another. Illegal to punch you, illegal for you to be there. I don't know. Yeah, that guy's a legend. I mean, yeah, I heard the one with the girl too, where she's like, hey, how come we haven't gone back to the moon? And he's like, we didn't go. I'm wondering. I mean, Buzz Aldrin is one of those dudes where I feel bad. He's like a Biden, let's just say that. Buzz Aldrin's like a Biden. It's like he's not all the way there, and I just feel bad. I don't feel bad for Joe Biden. Buzz Aldrin, I'm in the middle of, but let's move on. I'm not trying to get in trouble. Listen, it's a serious show, folks. It's a comedy show. We're just doing funnier comedy than SNL. Come on, man. Come on, man. Clap, you damn idiots. Like he's always like yelling at the audience. He says something not funny. He's like, clap for me, you jerk offs. Like, you're like, dude, he's such a jerk. If you watch old videos of Biden, he was always such a jerk. Like, listen to him to Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, that's a great man. Biden was always such scum. He was like worse when he was fully functional. I enjoy him better now that he's senile. When he actually had a working brain, he was such a piece of, garbage. Desert Maid said, thanks for helping me out during the shutdown, bro. Keep the truth coming. Keep giving out these clown pills with your facts. God bless. Thank you, Desert Maid. Come on, man. Come on, man. Just clap already, you idiots. It's like you're going to talk to the military like that because they didn't clap for your joke that you stole from Reagan. Come on, man. My dad and mom used to argue about it, said Gina. I agreed with my dad. Nope, I don't believe that they landed on the blank. Listen, fact check. Fact check. I got to fact check it. Fact check false. We did land on the moon, and I have proof because the footage is on YouTube. And if you, I have this helmet to come. Listen. Can you hear that? So fact check false. We did land on the moon. Please don't bring your conspiracy theories here. I have proof. We landed. We have the video footage. They just can't go back because they don't have the technology to do it anymore. It makes total sense. In 1969, when the computers were worse than your cell phone, we went to the moon. Now that we have Google quantum computers and we have computers that are thousands of times faster and smarter and artificial intelligence that's smarter than humans, now we can't go to the moon because Don Pettit said we destroyed that technology and it's a painful process to build back again. It makes sense. And it's a painful process because, you know, it's not like NASA gets billions of dollars a year. Well, they do get tens of billions of dollars a year, but I mean, they have other things to do, like, you know, put, you know, women up in space and make new spacesuits for them. So, I mean, fact check false. Let's tone it down here, folks. It's starting to get really conspiratorial here, and I'm a big moon landing fan. So sorry about people's perspectives, you know, coming to light. I try to not let that happen here. Don't worry, Facebook. I got it under control. No need for the fact checks. No more Mashable NPR smear articles about me. We got it under control. I'll fact check my own audience. I got it. Don't worry. I don't need another. I mean, this coward, he wrote a stupid NPR article about me. He had like 5,000 followers on Twitter. Nobody cared about him on Instagram. It's not a popularity contest, but he writes about me. He lies about me. He's a dummy. I make a video about him. It gets like 500,000 views, and he goes on private because he's afraid now because his post gets ratioed because he's a loser. It's like, you know, sorry, I got off topic, but, you know, I got it. It's fact check false. It's why would they destroy the technology? Your guess is as good as mine. It's like, you know, it's a question that will never be asked in the press. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I find it fascinating. Bubbles in space? Yeah, I don't know. That guy, he messaged me. He's like, bro, I'm the bubbles in space guy. And I watched it, and he was like, bubbles in. I don't know much about the bubbles in space thing, but he messaged me and was like, if you really want to know, go to the bubbles in space. And I'm like, bro, I love moon stuff. So it's my favorite topic, and I'm not making fun of anybody. I just think it's so funny. Like, you just Google NASA, and it's like every article is like a comedy article. Hold on. NASA woman suit didn't fit. I'm just doing this like for fun. Listen, I love NASA. Here it is. NPR, my favorite. NASA scraps first all-female spacewalk for want of a medium-sized spacesuit. So women can't even do space right. They're all about themselves. No, but it's like they had a whole spacewalk planned. And then one of the women's like, oh, my spacesuit doesn't fit. Because, you know, they launch people into space without doing like exact metrics of their body, because that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, they just canceled and scrapped the spacewalk because, you know, the suits didn't fit the woman. I mean, if you're going to go into space with airtight suits, you would think that they would probably plan that before the official launch and make sure that that's like exact science. But, you know, I guess they slipped up or something. I don't know. Why did it take so long for NASA to do their first all-female spacesuit? NASA spacesuits have a gender problem. These women are fixing it. So what? Wow, I had no idea we had so many gender problems in space, but you just Google NASA and you find a funny article. It's one of my favorite topics. It's so fun. Someone said they lost the telemetry data. No, so did I. Listen, I believe NASA because I lost the telemetry data too. It reminds me of me in high school. I was so disorganized. Believe it or not, I feel like I'm pretty good now, but I had a whole backpack. I had one folder and all I had were sheets. My whole backpack was just filled with sheets. Like everyone else had science, geometry. I just had a whole backpack filled with crumply papers. And I was like, what's going on? So when NASA says it lost the telemetry data of the moon landing, it reminds me of myself in high school because my math teacher used to be like, where's your algebra homework? And I'd be like, I lost it. Just like Don Pettit lost the telemetry data with NASA. And, that's why I love NASA because like I believe them because it's so relatable. I would lose my homework all the time too. But now that I'm an adult, I do big things. So if I could do this, and I could run a YouTube channel and do shows in front of an audience, NASA could have went to the moon. It's very plausible. So don't laugh. Jared said, have I looked into terrain theory versus germ theory? If so, what do you think? What's up, Jared? It's not my expertise, but I have heard of it like within the last few months. So I'm backed up on books. I have like 7 books that I've like a quarter read. I want to read it all. But I do want to read the book, what is it called? The germ theory book. I forget the name of it. You'll know. The Contagion Myth. I do want to read that and see what I think, but I've heard of it. I'm not familiar with it, so I don't talk about it that much. And, some people have yelled at me, talk about this. I try to be crystal clear with what I'm saying. If I'm going to talk about it, if I'm not joking, like in the live stream, I gotta be factual. So I can't really speak on it because I haven't read into it that much. Someone said, buy that. Bulls. Never mind. All right. Someone said, globe Earth doesn't attack anything religious. You're wasting time. Learn about how to astral project since you don't believe anyone else. It's a globe, said the Yeti. That's like a super chat. I'm not saying it's a globe. I'm not saying it's a flat. I'm not saying it's a dome. I'm not out here telling people what to believe. It's not my, you could believe what you want, but I guess people are fighting in the comment section about globe or flat or dome. That's for y'all to listen, keep the arguments going, but don't argue. It's kind of, it could be I'm not going to step on anybody's toes out here. Everybody's got their own thing going on. I'm not, if you feel that way, I appreciate the super chat, but if, maybe one day I'll host a debate with a globe guy and a flat guy, and maybe we'll do that, but not today. That would be fun. There's some funny comments. I should. Someone said it's pear-shaped. Well, if you listen to Neil deGrasse Fed Bison Tyson, it's oblong. It's oblong. It's oblong. It's like a pear-shaped. I do a pretty good Neil deGrasse. It's a pear-shaped. It's pear-shaped. And if you don't agree with me, I dropped it, but you get it. I call Neil deGrasse Tyson, Neil deGrasse Fed Bison Tyson, and Bill Nye, I call him Shill Nye, the Democratic Party spy guy. But, they're both really credible, good guys, scientists. I'm just kidding. But, it's oblong. It's like the Earth was, it spins so much and it's a globe, and it started getting pear-shaped because probably people did the math and realized that they were lying. And then they're like, oh, yeah, it's not quite round. It's like a basketball that you sat on. And it's just spinning in circles, and everything's spinning and spinning, and the sun is millions of miles away, and it looks the same size as the moon, and the moon's closer. No, I get it. Listen, it's a pear. I believe Neil deGrasse Fed Bison Tyson because he says the Earth is a pear. When I was in high school, I used to eat pears. At first, I didn't like pears, but then one day all I had was a pear. I decided to eat it. I decided it tastes similar to an apple, and I like apples, so I eat pears. The Earth is shaped like a pear. It checks out. I don't see what the big deal is. Someone said Neil deGrasse. I just think it's funny. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Just it's like I like a good puzzle rap words. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse fed Bison Tyson. It's just a funnier version of his name. I don't know what's going on with space. All I know is we don't need to give Jeff Bezos money. I'm going to end soon, but Bezos doesn't need $10 billion. I don't trust Jeff Bezos with space money. It's like, to me, it just seems kind of like robbery. If I have to pay taxes, I can't be a free citizen in my own country anymore with all this COVID vaccine hysteria. But Jeff Bezos gets to run Amazon and get money for space exploration. Why don't I get $10 billion for space exploration? I have a company. His company is called Blue Origin. My company is called Green Origin. I'm just kidding, but it's like, let me have the money. I'll find a lot with space. I'll go hang out. We'll build rockets with Elon and shoot up in the sky, see what we can find. I'm sure I could do as much as NASA does. I'm pretty sure if you give me a year, 2 years, $20 billion, I bet I could probably figure it out. With that big of a budget, give me $10 billion. I'll spend $1 billion traveling, going to these events. Just let me into Bilderberg 1 year and the Council of Foreign Relations. That's all I need. Let me into Build-A-Bear. Let me into Build-A-Bear. It's been years since I've gone to Build-A-Bear. Let me in. I'm tired of COVID. I want to build a bear. No, let me into Bilderberg. Let me into the Council of Foreign Relations and just get me into the Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, Davos. That's all I need. $10 billion. I'll spend $500 million going to these events, and I'll be right up to speed with what Bezos is doing. I'm sure I could build my own space force with that budget. I mean, it's insane. They're going to give him $10 billion. Unbelievable. Build-A-Bear. That's so funny. The Build-A-Bear. There's something there. You show up to Bilderberg and it's just all the elites just building a bear. That's like a really dumb SNL skit that could be funnier than what they do. You're like, yo, what is this? You're like, I thought this was the Bilderberg. Like, you read it wrong. It's Build-A-Bear. You're like, that's all you're doing? You're like, yeah, dude, Bill Gates loves building stuffed animals. Like, so once a year we come here to Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, George Soros. We just, it reminds me of my childhood. And they're just like, oh, I thought you guys were talking about conspiracy theories and like depopulating the world. They're like, no, we're literally just building bears. It's just a giant Build-A-Bear for adults. And we were embarrassed because if we told everyone we were doing this, it's embarrassing for an adult to have such a childish hobby. They're like, it's nothing bad. We're not doing anything evil. Like we didn't feel comfortable doing this in the mainstream. You're like, well, I understand. I understand why you do that in the private sector. Listen, don't be out here asking these crazy questions. That's all they're doing. They're not planning anything. They're just building bears and going to space, and it's all very real and very, very harmless. And there's no reason to question anything. In fact, if you really think about questions, it roots from white supremacy because, when you had Genghis Khan, I don't even know if he was white, but let's just pretend like it was. He was just raping. And and then someone said, dude, you got to stop trying to have sex with everybody, Genghis Khan. And he was like, why? And he asked the question, why? And that's one of the first, scriptures of asking a question. So there's a really rapey past to even asking questions. So if you were smart, you wouldn't ask any questions at all. You would just follow orders, get your 2 jabs, and shut the hell up. He was Mongolian. Whatever. Don't ruin my joke. It doesn't matter what he was. Everything's white supremacy. China is white supremacy. That's like the right wing. They're like, who's doing it? It's the Chi-Coms. Alex Jones. You're like, who's Mark Zuckerberg? Is working with the Chi-Coms. It's the Chi-Coms. You're like, I mean, they do have a lot of influence. That was a really bad Alex Jones impression. I'll work on it. My throat, it just hurts doing an Alex Jones impression. I'm like, what's up with all these wars in the Middle East, dude? Is it for? And he's like, yeah, it's the Chi-Coms. It's the Chi-Coms. All right. That's a terrible impression. I'll figure it out. The friggin' frogs are gay. It's true though. The frogs are gay. That I agree with Alex on. The atrazine in the one study was turning the frogs gay, and there's nothing wrong with pointing that out. Got to chew some rocks. Yeah, it would break my teeth, but I love Podcast Alex. Podcast Alex, he sits down. He's like, okay, where's the whiskey? He's like, I'm ready. He's like, dude, you just got here. He's just chugging whiskey. He's like, he's a fun guy. Someone said Alex is a master misdirection giver. I don't know. I appreciate the fact that he hosted that debate. I thought the Nick Robert debate was pretty cool. Everybody's playing some sort of game, but it's like, I mean, I'm not giving him a pass, but Alex has been talking about crazy deep stuff for like 40 years. He's definitely had his moments where he's been totally off and like ran people off the wrong thing. Bill Cooper used to really not like Alex Jones, but at the same time, I don't know. Like if you were to tell conspiracy theories for 40 years, like how do you even do that? I have a lot of like sympathy, I guess, for Alex. Like it's not an easy job. I mean, I've only talked about things. I mean, I think I'm pretty accurate, but I've talked about things on Facebook for 4 years, and I've already had Chelsea Clinton tweet about me, NPR try to smear me, Mashable try to smear me. It's like, imagine doing this for 40 years. So I'm sure he's playing some sort of game, like he's doing some sort of balancing act. But I think, I think he still has a good heart, and I think he still hosts people who are speaking truth. Like I feel like he's just Alex Jones. He's just like crazy. So he's like all over the place. But I don't necessarily, I don't know his intentions or something, but I think he's a good guy. I think he's a nice guy. Like at the core of it, he's just like a wild guy. But yeah, Bill Cooper didn't like Alex Jones because he said that Alex misled people with like a big fear-mongering scare. But, I mean, to each their own. But I do like Bill Cooper. You should listen to Bill Cooper if you could find it. He talked about 9/11 before 9/11. That's an interesting one. So Bill Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse, and find some old audio clips of Bill Cooper. He's a very interesting guy. Do I like David Knight? Yeah, I really like David Knight. He's a slower pace than Alex, but I think David is an honorable man. And I think that David is a pretty straight shooter. He's not for everyone, but I do like David Knight. David likes me. He stood up for me when NPR smeared me. He made an article about it. I stood up for him when he got fired because I felt like it was a weird play because to me, I wasn't even listening to the band.video that much, and I started listening to it because I liked David Knight's take on Operation Warp Speed, and then he got fired, but that's between him and Alex. So I do like David Knight. I think he's an honorable man. He's a good American, and I think David Knight is a good guy. But listen, I mean, a lot of people that Alex is working with, I think I like Owen Schroyer a lot. Owen's been really cool to me. Harrison Smith has been cool. I feel like he doesn't censor himself. Paul Joseph Watson, same thing. I don't think Alex is really that bad. I mean, obviously he's a little wild and he's not for everyone and he's not always right, but I don't think he's like nefarious or anything. I just think certain people don't want to say certain things. Certain people want to play a certain game. He's doing this and he's selling products. He's a businessman. So he's always playing a juggling act. So, he's a legend. Alex Jones is Alex Jones. It's like Trump. Trump is Trump. You're never going to have another Trump. You're never going to have another Alex Jones. They both have their weird things, but it is what it is. Bullet Tooth Tony said with the super chat, the Chi-Coms colonized with the briefcase. The U.S. does it with violence. Of course, both are awful. See North Africa. Just wondering, do you like Scott Horton? I don't know. I don't know who Scott Horton is. Sorry about that, but thank you for the super chat. I'll check him out. I don't know if Patriot J is still here, but I saw him in the comments a few minutes ago. Shout out to Patriot J. Just graduated, got his lawyer license, I think, or am I saying that right? Bar exam, lawyer license. I'm not a lawyer, if you could tell, so I don't know the name of it. But congrats, Patriot J. Hopefully someday you could be my lawyer because, oh, yeah, you're still here. I need one, bro. I don't know what type of law you do, Jay, but I need a free speech lawyer. It's going to get tough. But first, we got to get another rap song because that's more important. But congratulations on the whatever it is, legal. I don't know the jargon. Congrats on the law degree. I think it is. I'm gonna need to be using that soon. Law degree, bar exam this July. We will take down big tech. Yes, sir. And me and Patriot J have a song called, what's it called? Thought Criminal. I don't know. Right? I gotta look it up. Jay, what's our song called? I think it's called Thought Criminal. Check that out. Anomaly and Patriot J. And also check out, I think it's called The Enemy of the People. The Don Lemon diss is one of my favorite songs of the year. So he did a Don Lemon diss, and it's just fantastic. It's for the whole family. Unless your little kids don't like to hear rap songs, then it's actually not for the whole family. I lied. It's probably just for adults. But yeah, Thought Criminal. I got it. Do I follow General McErney on Telegram? No, I don't. And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody because I like everybody. Everybody does their own thing. It's all love. But, with General McErney, I mean, I've seen some of his predictions and stuff. And I mean, I've seen him be wrong so many times. It's just like, I don't know. Like him, Lynn Wood. Lynn Wood's a nice guy. I caught him wearing the God bless hat. Listen, Lynn's a fun guy. If me and Lynn Wood were hanging out, we'd get along. He's just got good energy. We'd hang out. We'd probably watch Price is Right together. Me, Lynn Wood, two God bless hats, watch Price is Right. But General McErney's another one of those people. I don't know. It's like I've already seen him say things that just weren't even real, where it's like I don't have time to run on a rabbit chase with these people that aren't accurate. It's like I don't know what they're doing, but to each their own. So I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's got some value, but fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 5 times. It's time to stop following some people, but to each their own. What are my thoughts on Robert Barnes blocking Nick Fuentes after their debate last night and calling him a Nazi? I said it earlier, but I'll repeat it again. I watched the debate for an hour, 2 hours. I watched most of it. I thought, keep in mind, I like Robert Barnes. I like Nick too, but I really do like Robert Barnes. I've never really heard a take that I thought was bad from Robert. So I didn't come into this with like a crazy Nick Fuentes bias and I hate Robert Barnes and his position. I actually love Robert Barnes, and I've never heard a take that I really disagreed with him. I thought he did a terrible job. I thought Nick was a class act in the debate. Nick made valid America First points. I feel very similar to a lot of things he said. No hate in my heart. I don't hate Jews. I don't hate Israel. I don't think I want them to be destroyed. I just think America's America, Israel's Israel. And I think the relationship's a little lopsided. And I think it could be renegotiated just in the same way, we renegotiate with UK and such. And, Robert Barnes said anti-Semitic, Jewish conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the dude made no sense the entire time. He's talking about Jonathan Pollard, the Israeli spy, and he's trying to downplay that. Like the dude went back to Israel, kissed the ground. I mean, that's just what happened, when he got his sentence commuted or whatever. And he's like, oh, he wasn't from Israel. He could have been from any. It's like, dude, the whole time Robert was lying. He was lying, strawman arguments. Everything's a Nazi. Everything's anti-Semitic. I mean, completely got destroyed. Nick destroyed him with class. Nick never raised his voice. He never got angry. He never was mean. You could hear his voice. He didn't sound mean at all. And Robert, I feel like even though he's 2 or 3 times Nick's age, acted like a child and used the word blocked. It's like Robert got destroyed in that argument. And I think every point that Nick was making was valid. And then as somebody who likes Robert Barnes, I felt like he was wrong about almost everything he said. I'll give you an example. He was talking about, this is just a fact. In Christianity, it's not just Jewish people who are pro-Israel. A lot of Christians are pro-Israel because of biblical prophecy. This is not my opinion. You could talk to Christians. This is very prevalent, especially in more right-wing churches. It's called Zionism. It's called, pro-Israel. If you bless Israel, Israel bless you. Like millions of Christians believe that interpretation of the Bible, and they worship Israel because it's a biblical connection for them. So to give you an example, Robert Barnes said, no, Christians don't like Israel because of the Bible. Christians like them because of the Palestine propaganda, and like they just see Israel as a good ally. It's like some people, but he's totally wrong about that. Any Christian knows, and this is not a hateful thing, it's just a fact, millions upon tens of millions of Christians worship Israel specifically for biblical reasons. Most Christians I talk to that love Israel, they don't talk about how great of an ally they are. They don't talk about Palestinians. They talk about the Bible, and they talk about the specific chapter in the Bible where it says, if you bless Israel, Israel bless you, or whatever it is. So Robert Barnes trying to say that that's not a thing, he's just lying. He's totally wrong, but that's the whole thing. And they're always like, it's Judeo-Christian, it's us and you. They don't know the Bible. They don't know the second part. They don't know the first part. They don't know the first chapter. They don't know the second chapter. It's always just like, oh, we're in this together. And the second you ask him a question, he's like, oh, Christians don't like Israel because of the Bible. That's not why. It's like, no, that's absolutely why. Like that was like a factual falsity that Robert is like, maybe he doesn't know because he doesn't know that many Christian Zionists or whatever, or Christian, right wingers. But I mean, like time and time again, almost everything he said was wrong. Like, and that's just like, that even has nothing to do with being pro or anti-Israel. That's just like a Christian fact of different debates going on in the Christian church. So it's like, he was flat out wrong about that. He was flat out wrong about Jonathan Pollard. Like, look, Google Jonathan Pollard. Jonathan Pollard was a spy who worked, and gave our secrets to Israel, got arrested, and recently got, his sentence was commuted, or his sentence was over. He flew back to Israel, like kissed the ground. I mean, clearly, and like they were like celebrating it. So that happened. Whether you love Israel or not, that's just what happened. He was trying to downplay that and act like Jonathan Pollard was just spying for everyone. And, he wasn't Israel. It's like, no, there's a huge connection to that country. So it's like, Robert wasn't being honest. He was covering up the truth. He was lying about almost everything. And when he got outclassed, outmatched, outdebated, and outlogicked, he just cried anti-Semitism and cried conspiracy theorists. And this is why there's growing anti-Semitism in the world. There's many reasons, but one that's very preventable is from Prager to Robert Barnes to Ben Shapiro to the ADL, whether it's left or right, there's all sorts of political discussion. Ben Shapiro is very different from the ADL, but the one thing that unites Robert Barnes, Ben Shapiro, and the ADL is they constantly play the victim. They constantly cry anti-Semitism. They can't face anything that their ethnicity or the country that they love is doing, so they act like it's not happening. And anybody who sees anything that they don't agree with, they just call it an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. They all lie. So it's like, that makes people not trust you. And then it's like, oh, that's anti-Semitism. It's like, no, you have to be more trustworthy. You have to be more honest. Robert Barnes, super honest guy, in the Israel debate, it was like he was a different person. I'd never seen him lie so much. I've never seen him cover up and just like use words like, Nazi, calling Nick a Nazi. It's like, it was pathetic. So I really think one way to lower anti-Semitism is if people want to, defend Israel, which is totally fine, you also have to not just call everybody a Nazi anti-Semite when they literally ask about foreign policy or say something that is like totally reasonable. You know what I'm saying? It's like if someone questioned America and I'm like, oh, you hate America, you want us all to die. It's like, that would make, no one would like me. No one would trust me. You don't have to trust me. I'm not going to legislate a word and make you trust me. People trust me because I try to be trustworthy. So this idea that you can just call everybody a name instead of actually taking self-accountability for your actual words, it was pathetic to see. And that's a common theme that I see in the Zionist debate, and especially from Shapiro to Prager, is their biggest blind spot is the fact that they just will never take any accountability and just use these words, to shut down the opposition. So yeah, I watched the debate. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think Robert, like, he's lying to himself if he think he won that debate. And from somebody who actually really, really likes him, I was disappointed because I was like, I've never seen him so disingenuous. I thought he would do way better. I have friends that I disagree with that would have done a better job. Like, some people are just not good debaters. So it was shocking, but I'm not surprised. I've noticed this years ago, and the more you notice, the more it happens. So there's a reason, and I've already said this before. There's a reason that Ben Shapiro does not want to debate Nick Fuentes. There's a reason that Charlie Kirk doesn't want to debate Nick Fuentes. It's not because he's this racist, sexist, Nazi, Holocaust denier that they're so much above. Listen, I don't agree with everything Nick's ever said. I'm not Nick. I say what I mean. I don't know what Nick does because I don't watch him 98% of the time. So I'm not defending everything he ever said. And I'm not saying that to push myself away. I'm just being honest. I don't know everything he does, but when I've seen him debate, Nick would destroy Ben Shapiro. Nick would destroy Charlie Kirk. They're not telling you he's a horrible person because they think they're so much better. They're shaking in their boots. Ben Shapiro would get obliterated just like Robert Barnes did because they're lying. They don't make sense. You know, they hide behind ad hominem attacks and these words saying you're a horrible person, you hate all Jews, and it's not true. Ben Shapiro used to say that about Ron Paul. Ron Paul is one of the nicest guys I've ever seen in politics. Ron Paul probably wouldn't even hurt a fly if he could help it. Ron Paul doesn't hate anybody. He wants to stop war in the Middle East, and he ran on that policy, and Ben Shapiro smeared him as an anti-Semite. He said he wants to choke Jews. Like, that's on Ben Shapiro still. You could see him trying to say that he thought Ron Paul wanted to choke Jews, and Ron Paul never said that. Ron Paul would never say that. So it's like that's whenever anybody asks Israel or, you know, the military-industrial complex to have an ounce of accountability, Ben sees it as everybody wants to hurt me all the time. That doesn't mean everyone else is anti-Semitic. It means you're a liar and you refuse to take accountability, you know, for anything. It's like it's very annoying, and that's, you know, time and time again seems to be a pattern. It's like, you know, rules for thee and not for me. We can do this, but you can't do it. And, you know, smear everybody who points it out as a Nazi or an anti-Semite when it's not true. It's a very cowardly, a very fake tactic. And, you know, they all do it. The Christian and, you know, other right-wing people who support that platform. There's a valid argument to be had to defend Israel. I'm not saying there's not, but not the way they do it. So I think, you know, I think Nick Fuentes absolutely, you know, proved why no one wants to debate him. It's because when you actually put him up against them, he's pretty chill. He's pretty reasonable. He's pretty nice. He's very respectful. I mean, he said, Robert, I'm glad you're here. Like, thank you for having a conversation with me. Class act. I mean, the kid's 22 years old. He jokes. He makes jokes. He says like curses and stuff. I'm not saying he's perfect, but in a debate, he handles himself very well. I thought I was shocked, but not really. You know, someone said, I'll debate him. Sure. I like a debate. Go ahead. I'm not saying like I'm me. So if I get in a debate, I'm not trying to lose, but also I'm just trying to be honest. So if everybody's honest, it's a win either way, but I don't lose very many debates because I'm not a liar. And most debates I've gotten in recently, it's not even a debate. These people have all these articles and stuff trying to frame me, and then I destroy them and they freaking have an ego bust and they don't know what to do. So it's like, I'm not even getting in a fair debate. I'm getting in one that's stacked where they have 20 tweets of mine trying to frame me out of context, and I still beat them. But it's like, you know, a lot of people that they run away from debates because that, you know, they can't do it. They're not good at it. Someone said, imagine Sam Kinison alive today. Sam Kinison was a wild guy. He's a funny comedian. Have I been interested in calling Ben Shapiro to debate? I would love to debate Ben, but I'm telling you, I mean, I'm not going to make a big enough deal about it because I don't care. I do my own work. Ben does his own work. So it's all love, but I would love to debate to Ben. I've said it numerous times. We have mutual friends. Ben's not interested in debating me. It's not, he wants to have on people that are either left-wingers who are just easy to debate or a right-winger Christian who agrees with them. If I ever debated Ben, it would be on Israel, on the First Amendment, and, you know, the conservative movement, and honestly, even foreign policy when he disagreed with Trump a lot. You know, he wanted Trump to be more bullish in Syria. There's a reason. I'm not being hateful. Israel doesn't like Syria because Syria works with Iran. You know, Syria has land that they think is theirs, and Israel has a land. So a lot of these wars, not all of them, but we're not at war in Syria for oil. We're at war in Syria because Israel doesn't like Syria, and America works hand in hand with them. So when Ben Shapiro's getting mad at Trump, you know, he's like, why isn't Trump fighting Syria? Ben doesn't give a shit about Christians. Ben doesn't give a shit about America. Ben cares about Israel. And then he'll call you an anti-Semite if you realize that he does care. He says it's anti-Semitic to suggest that anyone has dual loyalty. It's like, everyone knows you have dual loyalty, but you can hide behind hate speech as he marches around college campuses calling there is no such thing as hate speech, only if it's against my race and my religion and my political agenda, then I'll call you an anti-Semite. Ben doesn't believe anything he says. He's a phony. And I would love to debate him on it, and I would win. That's why he would never accept it, because what's he going to say? He's lying. So, you know, that's just what it is. So we'll see. And by the way, in Syria, when we did all this stuff in Syria, it started with Obama, but the refugee crisis, when you destabilize a region, whether it's Bashir al-Assad, whether it's, what's his name, Gaddafi in Libya, I'm not saying they're great, but when you destabilize a region, it screws up the region. So all of these refugees that is, shifting Europe and even America, a lot of it started from the Syrian war. Ben doesn't care. He doesn't care what the cost is. 1 million American lives, 2 million American lives, millions of Muslims, a refugee crisis that forever shifts Europe. He's focused on his agenda, and his agenda is something that he doesn't want you to talk about because he'll accuse you of being a hate speech person. So, I would love to debate, but someone said he needs to be more open-minded. It's not open-minded. These people are smart. Ben's not a dummy. He knows what he's doing. In order to gain power, you stop people from criticizing you. There's an old quote like that, but it's true. Why can't you criticize China virus, even though the virus came from China? Clearly, somebody, whether it's China, whether it's America, whether it's someone, they don't want you to question the fact that the virus came from China. It's not because you're a racist. It's because somebody powerful, that's more powerful than you, doesn't want you to talk about it. So they pass a hate speech law to stop you from talking about the virus that came from Wuhan, China. And it's the same thing with all these anti-Semitism laws and anti-Israel laws. You can't protest Israel. Ben Shapiro calls everybody an anti-Semite. Although he pretends to be pro-free speech, he's multiple times said he thinks it's anti-Semitic to suggest people have dual loyalty. That alone is a fraudulent lie because the biggest donor in the right wing is Sheldon Adelson. Rest in peace, Sheldon Adelson. He passed away recently. He's the biggest GOP donor. He doesn't want a million things. He wants mostly one thing, which was Israel. He's a Jewish Israeli guy who loves Israel more than he loves America. And he's admitted that on camera. He said, I used to serve, once again, he's dead now, rest in peace. But he said, I used to serve in the U.S. military and I wish I would have served in the IDF. He was like, I'd rather fight for Israel. He's Israeli, but he's also American. But Ben Shapiro, here's the deception. It's a fact that these people like both countries. Ben thinks it's hate speech and it's anti-Semitism to suggest that it's happening. Do you think Ben's stupid? No. Is he a hypocrite? Of course. But is it aimless hypocrisy? Like Ben's too dumb to know that he's lying about the First Amendment? No, Ben knows he wants a certain group to have power. And the way you get power is to stop people from criticizing or commenting or speculating or telling the truth about it. So he's just playing a role. It's the same reason that Nick Cannon can viciously hate on white people and no one cares. It's like, to be honest, I don't even care. It's like, who cares what Nick Cannon says? But he's talking about white people, white people, white people, white people, white people. Did he have to apologize to white people? No, because white people don't have that much power. White people are the scapegoat. Oh my God, they're running everything. Are they though? Then how come nobody cares when they hate on them? Because they don't have that power. Who did Nick Cannon apologize to? He went on a I'm sorry for being anti-Semitic book tour. He did a Barry Weiss, who's a Jewish left-wing journalist. He read her book. He did a book review of it. He had on this like liar, rabbi who was talking about stuff. He had to apologize to the Jewish community. Why? Because they jumped on him for talking about the Rothschilds like that, even though what he said about Jewish people wasn't even that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but he's got the black Hebrew Israelite thing going on where it's like, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is, but he didn't apologize to white people because he doesn't have to, that. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not random that Ben Shapiro is doing it. It's not, I'm questioning even Robert Barnes. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's like, dude, I've seen you be honest so many times. I've always loved Robert Barnes, and watching him debate about Israel, it's like, he was a totally different person. Now, all of a sudden, it's all ad hominem attacks. The left calls everybody a Nazi, but I'm going to call everybody a Nazi when it's convenient. The left calls everybody racist. Well, I'm going to call you a racist. It's like, dude, these people are such flip-floppers. So they think they could legislate, the hate out of people's hearts. I'm going to call you a name, and that means that I'm a better person than you. It's like, maybe you're lying. Maybe you're not honest. Maybe you're trying to cover up how you feel, and you're trying to pass speech laws and put out words to stop anybody from telling the truth or debating you. And that's what they're doing. Why? I don't really know. But with Shapiro, I would love to talk about Israel. I'd love to talk about the First Amendment. I'd love to talk about America First policies. I'd love to talk about immigration. I'd love to talk about the Constitution. I'd love to talk about the anti-Semitism laws on the State Department. And if I ever got that interview, I don't know what Ben would say, because I would calmly and kindly, just speak facts. And I don't know that he's interested in having that conversation. He'd rather, hide and debate certain people who are probably an easier target. And I don't do this for any other reason besides I like America. And that's why I understand where Nick's coming from. Like, I'm Polish, I'm Italian, I'm Czechoslovakian, I'm Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico's part of America, but I'm American. I don't have anywhere else to go. I was born and raised in America. I don't have Israel as my second homeland. Poland's not even really my homeland. I'm American. I love America. America's my favorite country in the world. It's the only country I know. And I feel connected to it. I want to fight for America. So it's America first to me, and everybody else is second, whether it's Israel, Poland, Italy. I love Italy, but listen, the Italian government, I don't really care what they do, to be quite frank. I mean, I want them to make Italy good, but I'm an American citizen. So this idea that you have to have dual loyalty to Israel or else you're anti-Semitic, this idea that you have to fight Syrian wars for Israel, even though it has negative consequences for your country, this idea that you have to give them $4 billion a year or else you're anti-Semitic, this idea that you're not allowed to say that they're a great ally and we would be screwed without them, where I don't think that that's true. I don't want anything bad to happen, but that's a straw man argument. Like, I think a lot of the conflicts in the Middle East are rooting to that. And I'm not blaming anyone. If you want to take the land and you want to say it's mine, that's for you. Like, America did that. And there's a lot of problems in America because we took the land 300 years ago and we worked through them. Israel took the land 50, 60, 70 years ago, whatever, 100 years ago. And there's problems there. So when America attaches itself at the hip of Israel, I don't see it as, oh, they're our greatest ally, or they're helping us so much. I think they exploit America and just do whatever they can for their best interest of their nation, because that's smart. I'm not mad at them for it. That's what you should do. If you love your country, it's not America first and Israel second. If you're Israeli, it's Israel first, America second. So Israel is doing exactly what it needs to survive. America is getting destroyed. And people like Robert Barnes and Shapiro, they will never admit that. They will call everybody a Nazi or an anti-Semite who say that. So this is what we have. We have a dual party system where both parties fund both sides of the war. Israel, Palestine, they're just giving money to both sides. It's all a big show. So it's totally okay, I think, to say, hey, I like these people, I like this country, but I'm American. So on a world scale, I should be allowed to have a debate. I like the UK, but I don't like the UK government. I like France, but I think France kind of sucks now. I don't hate the people of France. I just think I'm focused on my country. And like Trump said, we need to renegotiate a deal with France. I agree. We need to renegotiate a deal with Germany. I agree. I think we need to renegotiate a deal with Israel. I don't think they respect us at all. In fact, it's so obvious that they don't. They know that they could walk all over America, and the media, the press, and both parties will, crack down on anybody who thinks that it's wrong. So they don't respect us at all. Why should they? They don't have to. There's no consequence. It's the same with the press with the virus. You can't question the virus. You can't question where it came from. You can't question the origin. You can't question the death rate. You can't question the PCR test. So why would they ever stop? They have no incentive in America, the medical industrial complex. They don't have to stop because we don't have the free speech anymore. So I don't just see it as a geopolitical thing. I see it as a free speech thing. It's like in America, once you lose the freedom of speech, you lose everything. The Second Amendment's coming knocking on the door with Chapman or whatever his name is. That's how the Constitution works. There's a reason it's first, It's the First Amendment, because if you don't have the freedom to speak truth to power, power takes over. So whether it's Israel, whether it's China, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, whether it's the Wuhan, lab, it's not hateful. I don't hate China. I don't hate Israel. I see what they're doing. Powerful people in powerful places know how to gain and keep power, and they're doing it, and they're winning. And the American public's losing. So, that's my stance on it. And that's really the main one I've talked about over the last 2 years. Once I realized the right wing was prioritizing all these crazy speech laws, I'm like, and I saw this happening, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's like, once you lose this speech, you lose this speech, you lose this speech. I mean, we're in a big hole now, after the lockdown, we're in a huge hole. We need to get out of the hole. And there's no way to get out of the hole if you can't say anything. So, it's definitely a tricky situation. But for that reason, I'll read the super chat. I can't stand left wingers who call things racist. Like if you talk about Wuhan, you're not racist. And the right wingers, they do the same thing with Israel and anti-Semitism. And I know people think it's going to lead them somewhere, but at a certain point, you know, our country's going to suffer unless we could have a real conversation about everything. Mugen said, do you believe in the Hegelian dialectic tactics? Ever since I learned the term, I feel like that is all anything is. The media tells you how to think, so you pick a side instead of thinking for yourself. It's a great super chat. I think that's it. I don't know if it's purposely being done or not, but, you know, I definitely think if you look at politics, for instance, like big donors, you know, really run the show. So when it comes to, you know, say Hegelian dialectic, that's one word for it. You know, the pharmacy industry, name one politician from Trump to DeSantis to Rand Paul to Biden to Nancy Pelosi to Chuck Schumer to AOC, like name 3 politicians that didn't say, go get your vaccine, go get your vaccine, go get the vaccine, go get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. I can't think of 3. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene slightly questioned it out of politics. Rand Paul, he's promoting it. Ron DeSantis is promoting it. Trump is promoting it. So I'm not against it per se, but it's like the Hegelian dialectic is like whether Trump or Biden won, like they both seem like Pfizer, Moderna, Operation Warp Speed. You know, there is no escape from that option. Like you get 2 options, but in some cases, they're always going to do certain things. They're always going to pass that omnibus bill. They're always going to bow down to certain people. And, you know, I really question like what's really going on. I kind of just think it's a show, you know, like it just reminds me of a show. Like you said, like I'm not getting mad anymore. It's just like a silly, goofy show that people get too invested in. And I've gotten too invested in because, you know, if you go to the left wing, I'm not going to blame because they'll call this anti-Semitic, but, you know, George Soros invests a lot of money, you know, on the left wing. And there's also other donors and other people. And the more money you donate, the more people will listen to you. If I give $100 million to the Republican or the Democrat Party, people are probably going to listen to me. You know, it's not like, hey, here's $100 million. Hey, go F yourself. It's like, what do you want? And it's like, oh, you want to know what I want? Quite a few things. Let me tell you. So donors have always run politics, lobbyists, whether it's pharmacy industry, billionaires, you know, the military industrial complex. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is how politics has always run. Lobbying, lobbyists, money. That's it. Money is power. It's all about the Benjamins. That's how it's always been. And then on the right wing, someone like Trump came in and Trump was calling out everybody. He actually called out Marco Rubio. I don't know if you remember, but when he was running, he said Sheldon Adelson likes Marco Rubio because he can mold Marco Rubio into his perfect little puppet. So he said Sheldon Adelson, who's a big Israeli-American right-wing donor, bigger than even George Soros in some cases. He doles out hundreds of millions of dollars to Republicans. And Trump said, I don't need your money. You want to make Marco Rubio perfect little puppet. Fast forward 2 years, Sheldon Adelson donated all that money to Trump's Republican Party. Trump gave his wife a Presidential Medal of Freedom, you know, and I'm sure he had a massive influence because if you give $100 million to the GOP or whatever, the GOP listens. And what does Sheldon Adelson want? What is his top issue? It's Israel. That's not like a theory. That's like what he does. That's what he's concerned with. So it's not anti-Semitic to point that out. That's why they're jumping suit. You know, like, oh, they're so loyal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They really care about Pfizer and Moderna. Maybe, or maybe they're just getting paid off. Or, you know, it's like, do they really care that much or is it the money? I don't know. It could be a combo of both. But the Hegelian dialectic of sorts, it's like, there's certain things that just go regardless of who's in office. They just move forward. I don't know if it's the money. I don't know if it's something else. But, you know, every time it seems like someone's going to be different, they always fall right back in line. So maybe it's just a big show, you know, and it's not even worth stressing about because someone said the Chinese banks are buying the US dollar. I wouldn't be surprised. I think China is very nationalistic. Like, in America, if you hate your country, you're going to be ineffective. Imagine playing for a basketball team and you're trying to win the finals and you hate yourself, you hate your skin color, you hate everybody on your team. That's anti-nationalism. I mean, yeah, it's nice to love everybody, but on a country scale, you know, China loves nationalism. So every move China makes is for the betterment of the Chinese state. It's communism, but it's effective global power communism. So yeah, they're making all sorts of moves because they're dialed in. Like China cares about China. they're doing communism, but not global communism, not Bolshevik communism. They're doing like Chinese communism mixed with global stuff. So China's playing 4D chess. Russia's doing their thing. I mean, Israel, to their credit, I don't think it's Israel's fault. I think it's America's fault. I think Israel is very, ethnocentric. They love their people, their race, their country, and that's what they fight for. They don't care about anyone else as much. And I don't know that you should. I mean, you should love everybody, but there's nothing wrong with loving your country and prioritizing your country first. But you go to all those countries who are somewhat powerhouses and Saudi Arabia and such, America, we're maybe in the worst position. We might be the most powerful country now, but we have a demographic that's shifting that hates the people who vote conservative. Nationalism's being weeded out. The kids are just being brainwashed with like nationalist Marxism. It's like we're, distance-wise, we're not in a great position unless people get smarter, because it's not that you have to hate the rest of the world and only love your own country, but if you don't love your own country enough to defend your own country and figure out what's going on, China destroyed Trump. I know people think Trump fought China. Trump threw a few jabs at China, and I respect him for it. And China did a knockout punch to America, and Trump lost so bad to China. It's not even close. It's not like, ooh, Trump really fought China and won. It's like, Trump fought China and got destroyed. Like the whole lockdown, the whole deception of them, manipulating our press into extra lockdowns, and they opened up after they fear-mongered with all these crazy videos that probably weren't even real. Their economy's open. We can't figure it out. China's not counting asymptomatic cases, which is smart. America is counting asymptomatic cases with a PCR test, which is stupid. So China's not giving their people mRNA vaccines yet. No Chinese people have taken mRNA vaccines. Trump is rolling out Operation Warp Speed. America didn't beat China. China destroyed America, not just Biden, who's probably working with them, but Trump. I mean, Trump got wrecked. It's all ego, though. The whole Trump movement now, like, I did it, Operation Warp Speed. He's like a big circus clown. He's like, haha, follow me to my rally so I could talk about Operation Warp Speed and building a wall. I built the wall. I built the wall the strongest. Operation Warp Speed. I'm the fastest. I'm the fastest vaccine slinger this side of, the FDA. I rushed them, and Fauci. It's a joke. It's a circus. He's a clown. He didn't beat anybody. So people don't want to figure it out, though, but whatever. Desert Mate said, is there a reason you haven't been on Tim Pool's show or Rogan? Tell us more, bro. With Joe Rogan, I mean, I don't invite myself to places. So if somebody invites me, I go. If not, I don't. Tim Pool, I don't know that I've officially been invited. I've been semi-unofficially invited. Maybe if I was officially invited, I would go, but I like to stay to myself. So I don't really have a manager or like a PR team. So I just go by a case-by-case basis. If Joe Rogan or somebody on his team would message me and say, hey, Anomaly, we want to chat, that's cool. But I'm not really out here asking for favors or anything. I'm just doing my thing. So I would like to go on Joe's podcast. I would like to talk to Tim at some point. I'm not in a rush, and it's all good. Someone said, I'm confused now. Is Trump a bad guy? I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying at a certain point, like, he's part of the circus, in my opinion. At this point, what I just said is going to happen. He's going to go on tour. He's going to talk about Operation Warp Speed. He's going to say how he rushed the vaccine. He's going to talk about fighting China. But I'm just saying, I go by actions, not words. The first 3 years of Trump's presidency, he's throwing jabs. Like, listen, I think he did a great job. He's throwing a jab at everyone. China. In 2020, China came back and said, bang, and they knocked America out, and Trump turned into a different person. It's like they hit Trump so hard, he woke up after, a count to 10, and he thinks he's a different person. China hit Trump so hard, metaphorically, he literally turned into Bill Gates. Like, so I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying only in his little world that people follow is he like winning against China. Like, that's what happened, in my opinion. He jabbed China a few times, and China hit him so hard that he woke up and turned into a Operation Warp Speed lockdown, I saved the world through vaccines guy, when he ran on the policy of being a vaccine skeptic. He ran on the policy of running a council with RFK because he was skeptical of the vaccine data. He got hit so hard by China, he turned into Bill Gates. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. That's for God to decide. I don't know who's good and bad, but to me, I don't think he's, if I were a judge, which it's not my position, but yeah, I don't think he's a good guy. Because if you're a good guy and you're seeing what's happening to the children, and you're seeing what's happened to the military, and you're seeing what's happened to workers all across the country in schools and colleges, and how kids are being forced vaccinated or they can't go to school, and you're not going to send out an email about it, but you're going to send out 50 emails about Operation Warp Speed, 2 every week, I don't think you're a good person. I mean, people are so invested into Trump's ego and Trump's character that they don't even, it's like God status, as a human, we all have flaws, we all sin, but to me, yeah, he's not a good person. It's a huge event that he's mainly responsible for, or he had a large part in, and he doesn't even show an ounce of concern or consideration for the millions of his voters that are being terrorized and held ransom over it. So yeah, I don't really consider him a great person anymore. It's sad to say, but at what point does he mention how many people are being hurt by, the policy that rushed these things in our face? When China, why won't China give their people mRNA vaccines? Did you ever ask yourself that question? America, millions of people have been injected with Pfizer and Moderna, including, by the way, millions of Trump voters have been vaccinated. How come we're doing Pfizer and Moderna, but China wants to do a non-mRNA vaccine? I wonder why. It's interesting. And I don't know why. I'm not saying why. I'm just saying I find it fascinating. Desert Maid said, "Are you being shadow banned? I don't understand why you don't have more subs and viewers. Everyone I know sends me your vids." I mean, it's also like 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. In some ways, yeah, I am being shadow banned, but I don't make excuses. Like, I do a lot of content. My last video has 300, 400,000 views. I still get millions of views weekly. So they are shadow banning me. They're blocking certain things on certain channels, but I don't use it as an excuse. I still figure out a way to get it out there. So I probably got 500,000 views already this week. On Instagram, I think I'm at 200,000 for my last video. Facebook's around 100K or so. So it's all good. They could take away viewers if they want, or they could try, but eventually after 24 hours, people who need to see it, see it. This is not the most important video to see. I don't think so. It's all good. Michelle said, "Thanks for hanging out with us." Well, no, I appreciate it. I mean, I had a fun day yesterday. I went to the beach. I worked my ass off sometimes at night to put the video out in the morning. And on those days, I like to take a break. When I have a video and it's crushing, I'm like, I'm going to take a break today. So, I work hard, I play hard, and then I come back and get stuff done. Someone said, "I'm sure," Natalie, what's up, Natalie? Natalie said, "I'm sure Trump will say more once they remove his social media ban." Well, I don't think it's about that. He has a voice. He has an email blast. He has a website. He said he's sent out 100 messages over the last couple of months. He just doesn't care. I mean, I hate to say it, but he doesn't care. He doesn't. If he can, it's not like a left or right, a Trump, a Biden. If you have a soul and you see that millions of people, whether it's your fault or not, I'm not saying it's his fault, but whether it is your fault or not, and you see millions of kids are being stuck with the decision, if I don't get a vaccination, I can't go to school. If I don't get a vaccination, I can't go to Coachella. If I don't get a vaccination, I can't go on a cruise. If I don't get a vaccination, I can't travel to Europe. If I don't get a vaccination, I can't see my family. I can't leave the base. I can't go to my gym. And he doesn't say anything about it. And the only thing he has to say is, I brought this here. I rushed Operation Warp Speed. I did it faster than the mRNA. He's complicit. If he claims that without him, it would have taken 5 years, he's a bad guy. It should have taken 5 years. It's okay to take longer. We didn't need vaccine tyranny. This is not necessary. This isn't saving tens of millions of lives. He said it's saving tens of millions of lives. He's lying. Trump is lying. So, I mean, if you like him so much that you want to listen to a liar who is bragging about the tyranny that we're facing and doesn't care about the kids in the military, then that's on you. I mean, everybody's got their own threshold, but I think it's like people need to come to their senses, because at the end of the day, me, Trump, anyone, everyone has flaws, everybody sins, but at a certain point, you're just not a good person. Like his ego, narcissism, or he's just another actor. He's just another actor in the show, or his head's so big that he just doesn't really care about other people. But either way, I don't know. It's like, I'm very forgiving. I'm very thoughtful. I already forgive him, but do I like him? Do I think he should run again? Do I think he's no, I'm disappointed. And honestly, I think if he has a soul, I think he's probably disappointed in himself. The person he is now versus who he was 2-3 years ago. I mean, he's got to be embarrassed. Everyone has a soul. And I think it's probably hurting him more than it's hurting me. Just know he's not dumb. It's not like people think he's so dumb. Like, here's the funny thing is I don't think he's dumb. I think Trump is like a genius. His supporters, and I'm not saying in third person like being mean, but people who still love him like obsessively, instead of like acknowledging that he's really smart, what I've been hearing in my messages is like, no, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. His advisors misled him. It's like, so you think he's dumb? I don't think he's dumb. It's like people love him so much, yet they think he's so stupid that he doesn't know what he's doing. So how could you think he's so smart? He's a super genius. But on the other hand, he's so dumb that he made one of the biggest mistakes in modern history and he doesn't know about it. He's not dumb. He knows what he's doing. Like he knows about vaccines. He knows what he thinks about them. He's gone through this. He's been, I would say, an activist. He's been somebody who's been questioning them for years, and he gets into power and he just caved. I mean, or he had to, but it is what it is. I'm not going to be super judgmental of him, but as far as like the excuses, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like people will say and do anything to try to justify wickedness. And what he's doing, in my opinion, is very, very evil. So I think he's got a soul, and I think his soul is probably hurting right now because it's like, dude, he knows what he's doing. He's not dumb. He's not getting fooled by his advisors. He's doing something that he probably doesn't morally and ethically agree with for money, power, or out of desperation. I'm not sure. I don't envy him, and I wouldn't want to switch roles. So God bless him, but I don't know. I just find it funny when people are like, he's so smart, he's just too dumb to know what he's doing. I'm like, he's not that dumb. Someone said, you say I'm not trying to be mean a lot, LOL. Well, I'm genuinely not trying to be mean. I read, to be honest, I always try to be thoughtful, but I read a Bible quote popped up on my phone, and it said something along the lines of like, I forget the exact quote, but it was like a Bible app. And it was saying, if you forgive others like Christ forgives you, he'll forgive you. Where I think that's something to live by, where, I don't want to be hateful. Sometimes I come off and I get really upset, and I regret that. I've had people get really mad because I said something mean I'm joking, but at the same time, sometimes I get annoyed, and I'm not going to say I super regret it, but I don't want to be mean. I don't want to, I forgive Trump for what he did, but I think it's wicked, but I don't need to be super annoyed about it. I get annoyed because if people have been watching my stream since last April, I've answered like certain things that people say. I've heard it 1,000 times. It's like if your kid's like, "Are we there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there?" And then you just turn and you're like, "We're not there yet." That's how I feel on the stream. But sometimes people come into my streams and it's their first time here, and I'm getting upset. I shouldn't get upset anyway, but like they don't realize that I've heard this. Ask anybody who's followed me since March. Since March, people said, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if it's this? And most of the things people said have already come false. It's like, what if he does this? What if he does that? And now it's like May 2021, and it's still like, whatever. And I'm like over it, but I'm trying to be patient and calm because it's not right to get upset. Someone said, crazy, I just came from Adam Carolla's show. You got 4 times the viewers on YouTube Live than his. Yeah, I mean, what do we have, 800, 900 people? And sometimes on Facebook, we have like 2,000, 3,000. So, shout out Adam Carolla, though. He's a funny guy. Vaccine hesitancy, Facebook thoughts? Well, yeah, no, it's them manipulating their rules. Before the Project Veritas thing, I already knew this because Facebook, they made it public, actually. I don't know about all of it, but their public policy was, we will penalize vaccine hesitancy. This is drawing the lines. Now you say, this is hate speech. We're fact checking vaccine hesitancy. They're smearing the lines of like, now we're not just going to penalize misinformation of vaccines. We're going to penalize vaccine hesitancy, which can include true information about vaccines, but sometimes that true information about vaccines can make people hesitant. So that's against our rules. It's Facebook basically saying we're now not only going to fact check facts, we're going to cut out honest people that we don't want them to, influence people with the truth. That's what that rule really means, because or else you would just say vaccine misinformation. That could have covered it, right? Misinformation about vaccines. No, hesitancy. If you're hesitant, I don't know how I feel. They want loyal worshipers. I want to get it. I want to get it now. It reminds me of the girl from Willy Wonka. I want it now. I want the vaccine as soon as possible. When it's my turn, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get dose one. That's what they want. They want people that are immediately going to get it or pressured into getting it. They don't want hesitancy. Someone who says, I don't know. I think it's a little weird that they don't have liability. Moderna and Pfizer have no liability. I did read that it's not FDA approved, but it's emergency use authorization. But nobody's telling me that. They're saying, they don't want that. I want it now. Everybody, like loyal, drooling, obsessive, cultists for whatever the media says. So yeah, it's a sick policy, but whatever. Desert Maid said, I was on Oxy for 6 years and now I'm 16 months clean. I think you should speak more about that, bro. People don't realize the control those things have on you, but it's possible to let it go. You just have to make your mind up. Desert Maid, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. But more importantly, thank you for that story, because, I try to balance, because I'm not a medical advisor. I try to protect myself legally, because I'm not out here trying to give advice, talk to your doctor. But yeah, there's a huge problem with pills in this country. Some pills are good, some aren't. Millions of people are addicted to pills. Hundreds of thousands of people are addicted to opioids, Oxycontin, Vicodin, even Adderall people are addicted to. Even there's addictions to all sorts of pills. And honestly, I think there's more people suffering personally than that are being helped by it. It can be a mixed bag, but our country is 5% of the world, taking 80% of the pills, the last time I checked in 2016. So yeah, our country has a crazy pharmacy problem, but the pharmacy industry doesn't have incentive to talk about it because they're making money off the problem. And the US government works with the pharmacy industry, and they've basically merged. When Trump is bragging about Operation Warp Speed, he's merging big government, your taxpayer dollars, the military, and big pharma. That's horrible. But Trump didn't invent it. He's putting on an act. You think Trump goes in the FDA and says, you have to rush this now? Trump, honestly, I'm not a liberal, but Trump probably had nothing to do with it. He's just the puppet acting like he's taking credit for it, for divide and conquer. But overall, the military's been working with, vaccine industries and stuff for a long time. Look into the origin of the NCBI and all this stuff. They've merged DOD, it's weird. I mean, it's pharma, government, military. They've been doing this for a long time. Trump just rebranded it for conservatives, so people thought it was like Space Force. But in general, yeah, that's why I've known this. God bless you, Desert Maid. I've always saw pills as a huge problem. I've never had a full blown, I've always been on pills. But when I was in college, I was more of a degenerate. I was drinking more. I was experimenting and stuff. And you could die. A lot of people die. A lot of people, become drug addicts. A lot of people lose their whole lives. And, that's why I talk about this all the time. It's not just the vaccine. That's just one pharmacy product. But the whole industry and the whole FDA, the foods, the drugs, what they're approving, what people are on, it couldn't be more clear to anybody who's been through something like you, or anybody who just hasn't and knows somebody. I think everybody knows somebody that's on drugs in this country. It's so clear. I can't believe that it's become a political issue, but they've used Trump. I'm not blaming him, but they used him. They made the left hate Trump. And if you hate Trump, you'll do whatever Fauci says. It's all a show, and they program people with these shows, and then they give them these characters. It's fascinating. Desert Maid said, thank you for waking me up to the control of why they push out in the pills. You helped me a lot, bro. Well, I love that even more. I'm glad to hear that I helped you quit. That's even better. God bless you, Desert Maid. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that I was an influence to help you, drop off on the Oxycontin. So glad to hear that you're sober, and that's really awesome. Desert Maid said, what you said about pills kept me clean, so speak up, brother. You're helping people. That's amazing, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad I stayed this long, and I'm glad I heard that, because, it's really nice to hear that. So congratulations on being sober. And I'm really glad I could be a good influence because, you know, I wasn't like on pills for years, but I've had bad experiences with pills when I was younger. You know, I experimented, and honestly, it's like I could have died. Other people, you know, like you could have died. I'm glad you're here, but it's like you take too many pills one time, you're dead. Nowadays, you know, you take fentanyl, you're dead. A lot of people, and this is my message to kids and stuff, from a cooler perspective, maybe than people's parents and stuff. It's not ever cool to do drugs and pills, but like, especially now, I tell this to everybody in college, stay away from street pills, stay away from Molly, stay away from cocaine, stay away from all of it. Not just because it's good to stay away from, but fentanyl is the silent killer, folks. If you get street Molly, it might not just be Molly, it might have fentanyl in it. If you get street cocaine or whoever your cocaine dealer is, not only could it be laced or something else, a lot of it already is because they're trying to save money. But for some reason, I don't know why, fentanyl is everywhere, and a little bit of fentanyl can kill you. So all these people, Mac Miller, Angels pitcher, people are dying left and right from fentanyl. So it's not even like, yeah, you shouldn't do drugs. It's not a good idea to do anyway. But my message especially is it's not just the Molly, it's not just the cocaine, it's not just the street pill, it's the fentanyl is everywhere. And when I was in college, you know, it wasn't everywhere, or else there'd be way more dead kids. You know, like pills were always bad, but like the fentanyl is making it way worse. So if you're in college and you're thinking about it, stay away. I'm just going to be honest. I haven't touched anything like that. Once I realized about the fentanyl, I was never like a drug addict or anything, but like once the fentanyl, I knew about it, nothing. And I would tell everybody I'm with, they're like, I'm doing this, I'm like, stay away from all that. It's not just, I'm like, it's the fentanyl, and no one's talking about it. Trump talked about it. I know Scott Adams talks about it a lot, but in the mainstream, there's not a lot of people and media sources talking about it. Yeah, they're lacing everything with fentanyl. And it doesn't make sense to do it for money, because usually when you lace something, it's like you're trying to stretch it out. Fentanyl is so small, it makes me think that somebody's out here just trying to kill people, like, you know, through the drug market. So you really got to watch out. Desert May said the people that take pills need meaning, and that's why they take pills. People just need meaning, bro. Thank you. Well, thank you, Desert Maid. Life is crazy, man. I don't know how old you are or if you're a woman, but, you know, when I was in college, like, you know, you don't know what meaning is. Like when I was in college, yeah, I'm rapping, I'm going to school, but, you know, growing up is tough. And especially with the lockdown, it's even tougher. So, you know, I always try to have sympathy and empathy because I have meaning now, but for, I would say, the first half of my adult life, even with meaning, it was depressing. I don't know. I wasn't myself. I didn't know who I was. And I think that's kind of natural. When you're 18 and 19 and 20, it's really hard to know who you are. So you mix that with drugs or alcohol or college or partying, you know, it can be depressing for a lot of people. Like, I was never a kid that was super confident when I was younger. I was never a kid that was like super focused. I mean, I was good at rap music, and I like to say that rap music saved my life because people don't know this. That's what brought me to Los Angeles. Like, I got flown out a lot. Like, I wasn't just a bum. I don't even rap that much anymore just because I don't care. I make my own money, so I don't have to be on anyone else's timeline. But, you know, that's all I did. Everything else, I was just like, I didn't know where I was, like what I was doing. Life can be depressing. So, yeah, it's good to have meaning. And it's good to know that if you go through that a lot of people go through it, and that it's not uncommon, and that, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Cal Hogg said, Desert Maid, thanks for sharing the story. There's power in your testimony. Also, anomaly, the hair and the trim's on point. Yeah, I just like showered and went in the ocean, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Ultimate Fluffer. Someone said fentanyl comes from China. They're killing us. Yeah, and someone said the cartels too. I think it's a combo. There's like a connection there between China, the cartels. You know, I don't know exactly the flow of it, but I think you're both onto something. SA said, how's your Made in America thing going? It's going really well. USAProductsOnly.com. I think we added 7 new stuff. So if you go to USA Products Only, it's still in like the rolling out phase. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but maybe we have 50 businesses and we're trying to build, but so much cool stuff. If you go to USA Products Only, it's like a farmer's market for USA made products. We have woodworking, we have toothbrushes, There's some food. Make sure you vet the sites. I already did, or else I wouldn't put them there. But it's like a farmer's market where I'm not warehousing all this stuff. So if you're interested in these products, check out their website, check out their reviews, the same way you would with Amazon or anything. You know, I'm not responsible for what they're doing, same way as Amazon. It's like, you know, but I'm not a dummy. So I take a long time looking for reviews. I try to only add legit products and stuff to the site, but I'm making a pharmacy. I'm sorry, not a pharmacy, a farmer's market for USA made small businesses. So if you need woodworking done, check out USA Products Only. We got a lot of good woodworkers. If you want, I don't know, there's furniture, there's cool, like so many cool people that do cool USA stuff. And it's, just USA Products Only. I would have to go to the website because it takes a long time for me to approve these websites because I try to really vet them and see, like, let me see. So I'm going to go to like the woodworking section. So we got Legacies of America, Corner Woodworks, Beamish Metalworks, Truth Woodworking, California Redwood Signs. Like you can get signs, you can get home goods, you can get candles, you can get fitness. We got Iron Company, Prime Fitness. We got multiple fitness companies. We got art supplies. We got toothbrushes. We got skincare, obviously, soap, skincare, candles. That's a big one. We got footwear, Made in America clothing, Made in America food and drink, Made in America furniture. We got Vermont Wood Studio, Vintage Millwork. So it's coming. We got about 50 stores or so, but that's what I'm trying to build. A farmer's market for USA stuff. If you go to usaproductsonly.com, just shop around. And like I said, when you click on the link to the store, you're going to their website. So we don't run any of it. We don't warehouse it. They keep 100% of the profit. I just wanted to make a hub where people could find underrated small businessing. Like I've gotten the toothbrushes from the toothbrush guy. They're older toothbrushes. They're super dope. You know, I'm going to buy some wood stuff eventually because there's a lot of good woodworkers that are made in the USA, but I just haven't, I'm working all the time, but I got to buy more stuff from people too and supporting the USA, but I'm doing my part with the putting the site together. This is good advice. John said, find 5 people within 100 miles you could trust your life with, facilitate those relationships now. I love that, John. I think that's quality over quantity. That's definitely like very valuable. DSAS said, I look forward to your lives. It's like a vent session. You're saying what I think, and honestly, it's like venting to me too. So thank you. Thank you, DSAS. I appreciate it. It's a win-win for me and you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Someone said Adderall is the same exact chemical makeup as meth. Yeah, I don't know. I got to look that up. And I don't know that. So I try to not say anything I don't know, but I've taken Adderall. Luckily, thank God, I've never taken meth. At least I don't think I have. But, you know, Adderall is not a drug that they should be giving to everybody. I don't think so. They tried to give it to me when I was younger. My mom said no. When I was in college, I did for like studying and stuff. It feels, I mean, I don't know what meth feels like, but it's like 10 hours of like, you're jacked up, you're sweating, you're texting everyone in your family, you love them. And then the next morning you crash so hard. It's not a drug. I can't believe they're giving it to kids every day. Some kids take that every day. I would take it one day a month or one day every 3 months to study in college. And it drained me. It made me feel great. And then it made me feel terrible, which is what hard drugs do. So it's incredible that kids are taking Adderall every day. They're sweating, they're losing weight. It's like, yeah, no duh. They're taking a hard drug, you know, in a pharmacy pill every day. I'm so grateful for my mother. My mom, she could be a little mean, but she was like, he's not the R word, you know, like that's what she said to me. Like, he's not retarded, which is pretty funny, but like she could be a hard nose sometimes, but they tried to put me on Adderall and she's like, my son's not, there's nothing wrong with him. He's fine. He just needs to like, you know, she yelled at me, but she was right. There was nothing wrong with me. I just wasn't good at school. I wasn't trying. I was a bad kid. So she never let me play the victim. She didn't say, oh, it's because you're part Puerto Rican. She was just like, no, my son is just an idiot. Like, he doesn't need a drug. You know, he doesn't need Adderall. He needs to pay attention. She's just screaming at me. And in hindsight, she's totally right. I didn't need Adderall. I didn't need a drug. I just needed to find something I actually liked and was passionate about. Or I had to, you know, learn how to, I didn't like school. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the teachers. I didn't like the hours. I couldn't listen properly. So yeah, thank God for my mom, or else I would have been jacked up on pharmacy pills from the time I was like 10 or 12. I was a terrible kid. I would get detentions all the time. Like I could not, I would fall asleep every day in school. The reason I'd fall asleep is one, I ate cereal in the morning, but also I loved playing video games. There was this one game called Guild Wars. I don't know if anybody's ever played Guild Wars. It's kind of like World of Warcraft, but a different one. I used to play Guild Wars in high school, and I used to play till like 5 a.m. I used to play with people in China, like on different timelines. I'm in a guild with Chinese people. I'm crushing. Like I was like top level, like geek. I sold my account for a lot of money at that time, a lot of money, not right now, but like, that's why I was tired. I didn't have a problem. I just stayed up till I was 5 a.m. playing video games because I just liked video games. So yeah, it's hard to stay awake in school when you only get an hour of sleep. And then they're trying to put me on Adderall pills. That would have been a bad combo. Someone said creating addicts right out the gate. It's a great point. That's exactly what they're doing. They're like starting out drug addicts. I mean, if you take Adderall every day, you're kind of a drug addict. I mean, I'm like a coffee addict, if someone I'm like, yeah, I got to stop drinking coffee so much, but at least it's just coffee. If you take Adderall, taking Adderalls every day, is like 10 times as strong as a coffee. It's pretty crazy. Someone said, wow, your mom was no joke though. She was a hard ass, honestly. She was super at the time I thought mean. I mean, I still think she was mean, but I'm grateful that she put the right values in. She definitely could have been a little nicer at some points, but she was not a pushover. And I'm glad. I would never change a single thing, because if she was too nice to me, I would have probably been a worse kid, where I did bad in school, but I was always, I think, a good kid, or I tried to be. So, I'm glad she was meaner than nice. I'm grateful for it now. When I was younger, not so much. But as I grew up, I was like, very grateful. And I do agree with, I know Jesse Lee Peterson a lot. Someone said it's rough being a parent. Oh my God. Yeah, I can't imagine. And my parents divorced when I was younger. So I saw my dad, but mostly my mom raised me by herself. So she had to be extra tough. And I appreciate her for that. But, I think Jesse Lee Peterson's onto something when he always harasses his guests. It's really funny, but he always talks about forgiving your mother, forgiving your parents, but forgiving your mother. I really think that's so true. Before I ever met Jesse, I had come to that. A big problem in my life was I hated my mom when I went to college, and I just never forgave her for raising me. As I got older, I realized how great what she did was, and how, it's tough to be a mom, and life is crazy. So, I forgave her and my life got way better. Before I even met Jesse, I just came to that conclusion in my 20s and forgave her, was grateful for my life. My whole life went from here to here. I exploded on the internet even before I made political videos. My career was booming, my life was booming. I was happy. I was having a great time in work, all because I forgave my mother and just stopped being such a hater. Once you get over certain family things, it just opens your life. So when Jesse says that, he's always forgive your mama. And everyone's like, what does my mom have to do with this? It's not for everybody, but I do think if you hold a grudge with your mother or father, it's going to weigh you down in life. And I think at the end of the day, your mother and your father, they created you. You are the product of your mother and father. No matter, even if your dad left you or your mom did something terrible, they made you. So you are a product of them, literally. So you have to come to terms with that, regardless of how bad it was. Fortunate for me, it wasn't that bad. My mom and my dad were both solid people. And although, nothing was perfect, nothing ever will be, I early on, luckily, really got over everything. I was like, man, I love my parents. I appreciate them. And that's one thing that Jesse Lee Peterson preaches, forgive your mom. And everyone's always so confused, but it's so true. It's life will get so much better. You got to forgive your parents, and you have to, because they made you. No matter how mean you think they were, you wouldn't even be here without them. So how mad could you really be? Team Alex said, I got 100 characters to say with the super chat. So I just want to let everyone know that. And it cuts off. Desert Mate says, shout out to Tails Up High on Facebook, please. YouTube won't let me say the rest. Okay, Tails Up High. I don't know what the rest is, but thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Someone says, shout out to moms who helped us boys. For sure. And like, no matter, like, your mom literally made you. You know, it's like you were born in your mother's womb. That's just like, regardless of who or what, like, that's just what happened. So you got to love the person who created you. You wouldn't be there without them. So it's a blessed thing to do. And I think that holds a lot of people back. You know, if you have that hate in your heart, or you have that in your heart, it like leaks into every part of life. Someone said we confuse forgiveness with condoning. Well, for sure. You definitely have to. I agree with that. That's actually a great comment. Sometimes you got to put your foot down. People you love and forgive. Yeah. It's like I'm just using an example. If your brother's a crackhead and you love your brother and you forgive him, but he's a crackhead and he wants to live with you and he's stealing your stuff and your windows are getting smashed. And, you know, like at a certain point, you have to part ways with your brother, even though you love him, you might forgive him. You can't condone that. I agree with that. So it's like, there's a balance of, you know, I love you, I forgive you, but even some of your favorite family members, you just can't, you know, you can't deal with all the time like that. I love my family. I love seeing them, but I also do like being alone. It's nice to see, it's nice to be alone, but like it's like certain friends, you know, you can't see them all the time. So that's a personal, if someone said boundaries, that's it. Desert Maid said, would you go on a tuna fishing trip and go have some fun in the ocean? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I love the ocean. I love fishing. I used to fish a lot growing up. I actually lived near a lake and I would fish all the time. I didn't even realize how fortunate I was to live around there because I lived on a farm. I fished. I had like an off-road dirt bike. It's so cool. I had fun, but you know, you take things for granted when you're young. Like I had a really cool area that I lived that I just never appreciated when I was younger, but I used to fish all the time. And now that I'm older, I would love to do all the stuff I used to do. But yeah, I'd love to, someone said free trip for you, just show up. Well, you better be a good boat rider. That's for damn sure. You better not get me sunk in the ocean. What's up, Clay? This is a good comment. Lieutenant Johnny Rico said, parents wanting to be their kids' friends instead of their parents, I think is a problem also nowadays. Nailed it for sure. I mean, you want to, I mean, I don't know anything because when you're a parent, it gets real. But I think the balance is like, yeah, you want your kid to be able to tell you something, you know, but at the same time, yeah, if you're too nice, you know, your kid just ends up being a terrible degenerate or like, has no like what's it called? I'm trying to think of the right word, but discipline. Being a parent has got to be really hard. Like your kids become teenagers and they just don't listen and they think you're not cool. You know, it's crazy. Especially nowadays. It's always been crazy to be a parent, but nowadays I feel like it's tough to just let them do anything because everything's so wicked. I was talking to my buddy and he was like, you know, he was telling me my sister's crazy. She doesn't let the kids watch like Netflix and stuff. And I'm like, I kind of agree with the sister where it's like, I wouldn't try to be like an overbearing person, but the propaganda is crazy. Like when I grew up, this didn't exist. Like Power Rangers was not filled with propaganda. Like nowadays, Sesame Street's filled with propaganda. So, you know, if you don't raise your kids, somebody else will. If the television raises them, you better hope they're watching the right thing. And if their teachers are raising them, you better hope they're good teachers because, you know, your kid's going to be a product of like who they're around. You don't want to be like, you don't want to like smother your kids probably. But in this world, I don't know. I'll have to cross that bridge when I get there. But I would have to be probably, there's so much wicked stuff all over children. I mean, they're putting like gay propaganda on like cereal boxes, you know, and it's just a question that the kids don't need to be asking until they're a certain age. Like they don't need to be 5 years old. That's not a normal thing to think about. So It's got to be extra crazy. So God bless the parents out there doing a good job. It's got to be. Nothing's perfect. It's always impossible. So yeah, that's one thing my mom did too. I always thought she was mean, but in hindsight, she was kind of advanced. She never gave me crappy food for school. I used to get so annoyed because she'd always give me a banana and like apple and Eve or something, some healthy thing. I used to think she was so mean because I wanted, like, everyone else had disgusting good food, you know what I'm saying? Like a great big brownie. And my mom used to give me like a healthy lunch and I never liked it. But now I'm like, oh, that's actually healthy. I didn't realize that when I was a kid. And same with television. Maybe that's why I'm not so brainwashed. My grandfather, he's deceased, rest in peace. He used to call the TV an idiot box. He's from Italy. My grandfather's from Italy. He was a mechanic. I think he was in the war. Really great guy, mechanic. I mean, worked at a mattress factory. But he used to say the television was the idiot box. He told my mom that. So my mom used to tell me that, and she used to barely let me watch TV. Wheel of Fortune, sometimes like cartoons in the morning and stuff. But like, she used to tell me, go play outside. I played sports. I played soccer. I played basketball. I'm playing sports all the time. She just would never let me watch television, and I had to go to bed pretty early. And I used to think that was annoying. But now in hindsight, it's like I'm grateful because I hate television. So she was ahead of the curve with the TV and the healthy food and stuff, and like the playing outside. She always wanted me to get off the television. I liked Wheel of Fortune, Family Feud, Price is Right. That's what I liked. Someone said healthy food also feeds your brain and not just your body. I had a healthy lunch, but breakfast, I was always eating like Fruity Pebbles and stuff. I don't know. Somehow I always finessed it and got like the crappy cereal, but I always loved a Fruity Pebbles, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cookie Crisp. I'm just, that could not have helped. I'm eating that every morning. Like I won that one. I don't know how. Maddie said, you're too whiny on Twitter, my guy. Get off it. I don't even disagree with you, but it's like, I'm going to put you in timeout and just unfollow me, dude. If I was on Twitter, I'd probably have already unfollowed myself. So it's that simple. It's like, just click the unfollow button and it's all over. People come on here sometimes and they're just like, I don't want to be here. It's like, dude, click the X. They act like I don't have my own YouTube or Twitter. I unfollow people all the time. I click the X all the time. I watch YouTube TV. I watch BitChute. It's like, you're in control of your destiny, my man. I don't disagree with you. I think I'm wildly annoying and over the top on Twitter. So just unfollow me. Some days I wish they'll ban me. I'm just like, I wish I could just get banned from Twitter so I stop using it so much. It's all text-based. So with Instagram, I focus on my videos and I make them like clean. On YouTube and Facebook, I really monitor what I say and I do live streams. On Twitter, it's like I could just say whatever I want all the time, I'll read a tweet from today because it's a mixed bag. Sometimes I'm really annoying. Sometimes I'm really funny. I mean, if you want that, that's what Twitter is. It's half the time awesome, half the time terrible. I'm just an average Twitter user. I'm not too great. I'm not too terrible. I'm the ideal Twitter user. Half the time, I'm crushing it. My tweets are great. I'm hilarious. The other half, I'm annoying. Isn't that perfect? Isn't that what Twitter is? It's just like either really annoying or really funny. I want to read my tweet from earlier. I thought it was pretty funny. I said, I worked my ass off my whole young adult life, and as soon as I stopped being broke, they shut the whole world down. Smiley face. Let me get at least one white boy summer in before inflation hits. So I thought that was funny. I was like, I busted my ass my whole adult life, and as soon as I become not broke, the whole world shuts down. That's not fair. I just want one summer before inflation hits. But anyway, is this thing on? Is that a fall? Not a good joke. All right, I'm gonna take off. It was a long one, but it was a fun one. Thank you guys for staying, and God bless Desert Maid. Congratulations on being clean, and it's nice to be a good influence. Sometimes I think I'm a terrible influence, but I do my best. So appreciate y'all. God bless you. Have a good night, and thanks for hanging out. That was fun. I will have a video tomorrow, the next day. I'm not really sure. I'm editing my video for Way Too Jack for the Gulag. It's going to be dope. At least it's going to be dope enough. It's probably not going to be that great because I'm not the best editor, but I'm better than your average editor, or I'm exactly average, but whatever. It's all good. But I'm going to work on that. A lot of stuff, but more videos. You already know. Live streams. It just never stops. The fun never stops here, because if I stopped, I'd have to get another job. So I just keep going. So appreciate you guys. Have a good night, and I'll be back soon. And remember, when you pay your taxes this year, you know, you're not just giving money to nothing. You're giving money to Jeff Bezos' Space Origin program, and he really, really needs your money. So, I mean, if Jeff Bezos doesn't need your tax money, then, you know, who else does? What's it really for? Have a good one, guys.